Hello, and welcome to the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel, where we have a watch-along tonight of the Pittsburgh Penguins taking on the Philadelphia Flyers. It's going to be a fun night because the Keystone rivalry never disappoints. It doesn't matter where these two teams are or if one of these teams just happens to be the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, basically, against a Pittsburgh Penguins team that has won 9 straight. It's going to be a good game nonetheless. We already have plenty of chatter in the comments section. Thank you to everybody that has tuned in early here, everybody that's tuned in now. My name is Nick Berlansky, and if you don't know already, I host 2 podcasts on the Hockey Podcast Network. First, I host the Tip of the Iceberg podcast, where we cover the Pittsburgh Penguins. And I also host a podcast called The Hockey Hotbed, where we cover every team, all 32 teams across the National Hockey League. But like I said, this is going to be a very fun matchup tonight, regardless of who's in the lineup for either team. I know the Flyers, there was thoughts that this game might even be canceled. I'm glad that it's not, for the simple reason that I wanted to come on here for the first time in 2022, the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel, and get to talk to all my friends that are here in the comment section. A couple returning listeners and watchers here. Jacob loves THPN, has a score prediction. He says 5-2 Pens. You're on the Pen side, Jacob, tonight. I believe the last time we were on this live stream, you were on the opposite end. I don't remember who it was even against at this point. It's been a while since I've been on the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel. Hikaru K is in the comment section, says 4-2 Pens. Let's get it. Always a Pens fan is Hikaru K. So I'm sure we are all ready to watch this game. I'm just ready for it to start because it was a while there over the Christmas/COVID break without any hockey. So now I get very excited. All week I've been very excited to watch all of these games unfold. Front Row Productions says Flyers by a score of 5-3. If they're going to win this game, it's going to have to be a low-scoring game. So if they win by a score of 5-3, I'm going to be very surprised. But, you can never rule anything out. There's been a lot of high-scoring games since the NHL returned from their COVID Christmas break. And I wouldn't be surprised if that happens once again. I mean, the Penguins in net have Tristan Jarry, a guy who played last night, made 13 saves on 13 shots in relief of Casey DeSmith. But that was a day after coming off of a COVID break, being on the COVID list. And also, before that, he hadn't played since December 19th. So you never know what's in store when goalies have been out of action that long. Hockey Legend 2012 says Flyers 5-4, also thinking it's going to be a high-scoring matchup. So we'll see what happens in this game. Like I said, there's a lot of factors to play right now in the Keystone rivalry. These two teams played once before earlier this season. That game was in Pittsburgh, ended in overtime on a Crystal Tang wraparound that Carter Hart just didn't get enough of. It actually had to be reviewed. And then the Pittsburgh Penguins, after review, came away with the overtime win. Tonight, it's going to be an uphill battle for Philly. They've been dropping in the standings so much so that since the last time I was on here, they fired their coach and their assistant coach. So Mike Yeo takes the reins. If there's anybody that knows the Pittsburgh Penguins, it's Mike Yeo, who was a former assistant of the Penguins. We'll see how that all plays out tonight. But the biggest storyline of this game, other than the fact that the Penguins are looking for their 10th straight victory, the longest win streak in the NHL this season, the biggest thing in this game and the factor is going to be COVID. As I pull up the injured lists here, thanks to Flash Score, clearly it's one-sided in this. Now, the Penguins are still without Evgeny Malkin, but they haven't had him at all this season. So not even anything new for them in that instance. They're also missing Drew O'Connor, who's on the COVID list. Jeff Carter is available to them. and is off of the COVID list, but they decided not to play him tonight, probably because he dealt with some minor symptoms, so they don't want to rush him back in, especially in the second half of a back-to-back when you're about to go on to a 6-game. This is the game 1 of a 6-game road trip for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So we're going to sit here, and it's going to be the same thing as every single time I do one of these, refreshing and trying to make sure that I get the feed up in time. And luckily, this is an ESPN Plus / Hulu exclusive game tonight, so it's on a little bit earlier. Makes it my job a lot easier, and we're already off and running on ESPN Plus with the Penguins and the Flyers coverage, thankfully, because sometimes I hate sitting here waiting for that to load because I have to keep refreshing it and almost forget. So let me take a look here into the comment section. Josh is joining us. What's up, Nick? How many is Flyers COVID cases? I mean, you look down here, not all of these injuries are Flyers on the COVID list. Sean Couturier is actually injured. So is Ryan Ellis, but Travis Konechny, Travis Sanheim, Claude Giroux, and Ivan Provorov are all on the COVID list. I mean, that is 4 of, if not the 4 best players for the Philadelphia Flyers. They have a couple other players on there. They're bringing up some guys from Lehigh Valley. They're activating guys from the taxi squad. So this is really just a team that is going to be held together by duct tape and super glue tonight. And we'll see, because it is a rivalry game. You cannot count out either of these sides, no matter who's injured and no matter who's out of the lineup. It's going to be a good game, and I'm excited to see it tonight. It's going to be a good one. The Beer Sports Whatever podcast says, hey, what's going on? Thank you for joining us. Jackson Hollister, somebody who I believe is a follower of the Tip of the Iceberg podcast, says 6-1 Pens. He says they run away with this. I said that earlier today on the podcast for the Tip of the Iceberg. I said I would be surprised if the Penguins don't win this one by 3 at the very least. That's my prediction there. Danelle joining us again says, hate both teams of the Penguins and Flyers. Can both teams lose? I don't think that's how that works, but hey, the New York Rangers are playing in Vegas tonight. I know you're a New York area guy, Danelle. I don't quite remember who your team is, but we'll get that. The City Life Project is already jumped into the comments, says, are you pumped to cover your favorite team tonight? Oh yeah, I'm so excited to talk Philadelphia Flyers hockey. Thank you for joining the stream, Misha. Happy to have you here. And he did say that. See, I made the joke, but I wasn't paying attention. There you go. Let's see what else we have in here. The Soda Pod says, what's up, buddy? What's going on? I believe that is probably State of Hoppy or State of Rossi. Is that the thing now? Because Marco Rossi making his NHL debut tonight, also with Matt Boldy. I'm excited to see that. I might have to go split screen between that. Nikita Kucherov returning, Pens, Flyers. We have Ryan Reeves returning to Vegas. It's a good night of hockey, and I'm excited for it. I'm very excited for it. Let's see. I echo this sentiment here from good buddy Isha. Says, subscribe to the channel. Watchalongs are every day. And yeah, drop a like if you like what you're hearing so far. We're just getting started. We're going to have plenty of conversations. There's one already that I know I got to go back up into the comments to find once we get started. Let's see. Front Row Production says, more snow tonight for the nation's capital city. Yeah, they're battening down the hatches for the 3 inches of snow. I don't know what it is about this city. They have no idea how to handle it. But as somebody who grew up in Western Pennsylvania, where it took literally 1.5 feet of snow for us to even get a 2-hour delay, the fact that on Monday there was 6 to 8 inches of snow and the city shut down for 2 days is absolutely ridiculous to me. I can't believe they still have not figured out, they don't go over the roads. They don't salt the roads. So I don't understand. It's 3 hours south and they have all these issues. I don't get it. I just don't get it. So let's see who else is in here. Ooh, Dylan Kaiser joins, says Eddie tilts tonight. I think there's a good chance. I mean, the Penguins were fired up last night. Obviously, the big story of the game was Sidney Crosby versus Nico Mikkola in that game against the St. Louis Blues. Crosby getting the brunt of it. You can still see in the videos right now they're showing on ESPN Plus. He has that little splint on his nose. It's a Flyers-Penguins game. The Flyers are shorthanded. They're going to have to try to get something going in front of their fans. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a tilt, maybe in the first period, but this is the new age NHL where you don't see it quite as much, especially not as much as when that man on the screen, Mark Messier, was playing in the league, that's for sure. Steven asks a question, says, is this an actual live stream of the game? Unfortunately, it's not. I cannot do that because I don't have the rights to that, but we do tell people that it is on ESPN Plus in the United States or Hulu in the United States, but another site to use is NHL 66. That is a good site to use to try to get these games streamed. So we do not, unfortunately, show the actual stream, just talking about it and talking hockey. That's what we do here. Let's see. Oh my goodness, there is so many comments. So I'm gonna have to skip some just to get the whole way down. Danelle did answer here. He said yes, he's a diehard New York sports fan. 3 local hockey teams: Rangers, Isles, and Devils. Well, at least he got the Rangers going right for you, because the Isles and Devils not on the great side of that. But let's see. City Life Project, buddy. I'm a Vancouver Island. We literally shut down. 13 inches, no snowplows. Yeah, we had like 3 inches, no snowplows, and they shut down. And this is the nation's capital. I mean, I know Vancouver Island is somewhere that is sneakily rising up on my bucket list of places to go, just because of how much Isha and Dylan have talked it up in the 3 years since I've known them. But hey, 13 inches of snow, shutting it down, no snowplows. Sounds like home to me. That's for sure. Let's see what else is in here. Hikaru, a good point. There's bad blood with Ristolainen. I mean, he's a shit disturber. I don't know if I can say that on this. I don't remember if I'm allowed to swear on this, but that's probably the last time I will today. But Rasmus Ristolainen, anytime he plays the Pittsburgh Penguins, you saw it last year when he was with the Sabres. He just likes to get everything going. He likes to get physical, and he's going to play a big role tonight because, like I said, Ellis is out, Provorov's out, Sanheim's out. He's basically the last guy there. So we'll see what happens with all of that. Hockey's biggest fan says hello, and welcome to the stream. I don't know if you're subscribed already, but if you're not, make sure you subscribe to us for watch-alongs like this every single day. Front Row Productions asks, Nick, are you actually in the swamp or on the Maryland, Virginia side? I live in Northern Virginia. I am not actually in D.C., just about 10 minutes outside of it. I work in D.C. for the most part, but not actually in it. There was a question. Hockey's biggest fan is sub. Thank you very much for subscribing. I don't know if you were one of the, I believe, like 60 or 70 people that Neil got whenever he had. Let me go back to head here. Try to fix this so we have it all ready. Stats. There we go. Got to fix everything. The sticks are down. The pucks are down. The puck is dropped, as my good friend of the show, Steve Mears, always says on the Penguins broadcast. He has the night off because this is an ESPN Plus and Hulu exclusive game. So we are underway in Philadelphia. Battle of Pennsylvania, the Keystone rivalry for the second time in this NHL season. So we'll see what the Flyers can do. It's going to be an uphill battle for them. I know before the game, and I actually have some money on it at our show sponsor, DraftKings, I have money on the Penguins -1.5 because looking at, the Flyers are decimated on COVID with injuries. The Penguins have won 9 in a row, and you saw the game they played last night. If you didn't, they played a fantastic game against the St. Louis Blues, a great team. So there's 2 teams going in 2 different directions. One is dealing with injuries and COVID. The other one is as close to full health as they have been all season long. So let's see what we have here in the comments. Ron asks, did you know that Lehigh Valley Phantoms had to play with 9 forwards, 8 defensemen the other night because of all the injuries and COVID issues with the Flyers? I did see that, and I, immediately started thinking of beer league because that's basically what beer league is. It's like, hey, well, somebody's tired of playing defense, so let's send them back there. So it's an interesting season to say the least, and we've seen plenty of things going around with that. Is Wade Allison playing tonight? I'm not sure. He's a guy that in these Penguins-Flyers matchups, even though he hasn't played in a lot of them, he's always kind of made his presence felt. So I would be interested to see if he's in the lineup. I haven't gotten a chance to see the actual lineups because, it's been fast and furious. We got the puck underway really quickly. And the first 2 minutes already, Flyers, we said they're going to put up a fight. And so far, they've held the majority of possession and gotten a couple opportunities on goaltender Tristan Jarry. But right now the Penguins try to take it out. And that was a fanned on a shot, and Carter Hart makes the easy first save of the night. Nice way for him to jump on in there. Let's see. Looking in here. High school varsity team only had like 13 to 15 players. Yeah, that's rough sledding. You got to have lungs of steel if you're going to be playing on a team like that, because you're going to have a lot of ice time. Earlier in the comments, I do want to go up and look at the one question that was asked. I believe it was by the Soda Pod, so that might make it a little easier. Yeah, there it is. What does Malkin's extension look like? Well, earlier in the week, or maybe it was last week, Evgeny Malkin went to the podium after a practice and said, I'd like to play 4 or 5 more years. And, if you're a Pittsburgh Penguins fan, if you're a Pittsburgh fan altogether, after seeing, Ben Roethlisberger's last home game at Heinz Field last Monday, you know that it's going to happen with the Crosby, Malkin, Letang guys, and you just hope that it doesn't happen too soon. But with Malkin saying that, and then even Letang echoing that sentiment, you hope to think that you still have a couple years left if you're a Pittsburgh fan, of watching these guys play hockey. And for what we've seen from Crosby is he got a couple of years left of seeing him play at a high level. But his next contract, I don't know. I would think it's probably in the 3 to 4 year range. And I don't know if he takes a pay cut or not. I mean, he wants to stay in Pittsburgh. He wants to be competitive. So I don't know if he would take a pay cut. He's making $9.5 million against the cap now. He's been making that since 2013, and he's the highest paid player on the team. Is he going to give that up? Probably not. But does he take maybe 8.7 to match Crosby? Does he take 8.5? Maybe give $1 million for them to re-sign either a Brian Rust or an Evan Rodriguez, both of which are going to demand raises after the season? I would think that he might, but at the same time, Russians are fickle, man. We just saw Alex Ovechkin this past offseason get just as much as he was making before. And, there's legend tax and there's record-breaking tax and there's chasing Gretzky tax. So you have all that to take into account. But I would think that Malkin signs for 3 or 4 years, probably still up there in the $8.5 to $9.5 million range. I mean, now zoom the whole way back down. Let's target 800 subs tonight. What are we at currently right now? I'm an awful host. I don't even know how many subscribers we're at, but let's get to 800. I don't care how many that we're away from it. Let's get to 800. Let's see. We are at 768. 32 subscribers. We could do that. 32 subscribers. So before we keep going here, 4 minutes into the game, 0-0 still. Thank you for tuning in to the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel. If you like what you're seeing here, this is a live watch along of the Pittsburgh Penguins versus the Philadelphia Flyers. If you like what you're seeing, we have watch alongs like this every single night, different markets, different teams, different hosts. And, it's just all together a great network, the Hockey Podcast Network. So you have watch alongs like this. The network also has podcasts of every single team in the NHL, plus specialty podcasts, Tales with TR, the Hockey Hotbed, there's one, a House of Hockey podcast as well. So make sure you check out the Hockey Podcast Network, promoted and brought to you by DraftKings. Use promo code THPN at the DraftKings Sportsbook app for great odds and opportunities. Like I said, on the DraftKings Sportsbook app, I have the Penguins -1.5 for plus money tonight. So I'm hoping for a little bit of dough, and my betting allegiances lie with the Pittsburgh Penguins tonight. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. Alex says, thanks for streaming. Well, thank you for tuning in. Is that Alex or is that Elon Musk? I don't know. It might be a burner account. But thank you for tuning in here at the Hockey Podcast Network. This game is back and forth a little bit. People are in and out. Let me switch something. I don't know what is going on here. But getting text messages from my friends that are tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. Ron, who is now tuned into the stream for the first time. Make sure you drop a like and a subscription, because I will be back. If not me, some other players will be back. And that is a bad penalty to take in the offensive zone. That's going to be Teddy Bluger. 2 minutes for interference, cross-checking, pick your poison. Either way, the Philadelphia Flyers get the first power play of the evening here in a bad offensive zone penalty from Teddy Bluger. You don't see that very often. So looking down here, let's check out the comment section again while we have a quick break. Let's see. My Aunt Debbie joining us. Keep the winning streak going. How's it going, Aunt Debbie? Thank you for putting in the time to figuring out ESPN Plus and Hulu today, because now she can watch the game and also watch me. So that's great. Isha's in the comment section. This is fun because last time I did one of these, Isha wasn't there for the most part, and I thought I was getting shunned. I thought I was like, okay, I'm out of the circle, the inner circle. I'm out of it now. I'm getting shunned. But he's a very busy man, so I understand how sometimes he's probably busy doing actual work instead of just sitting here watching me watch a hockey game. But thank you so much, Isha, for joining. Thank you. I saw Dylan's in there for joining. All the regulars that have joined, Hikaru, Front Row Productions, Jacob Loves THPN, and all of our new listeners and viewers. It's nice to see everybody joining here. My first one of 2022. 30 seconds killed on this power play already. Let's see if the Flyers can get it set up. One player that they did get back was Derek Brassard. And I don't know how he's played this year because he's been in and out of the lineup. So I haven't really done my homework on Derek Brassard this year. But when you're looking at how many players are out, it's probably nice to get an NHL veteran back into the lineup. So let's see. Danelle says, which fans are worse to me, Philadelphia or — the suspense is killing me, Danelle — or who? You got to let me know, and I'll answer it. Isha says he joins when he can. Yeah. Listen, we have one every night. So for those that tune in every night, hats off to you, because there's a lot of content that comes your way here at the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel. That's for sure. So far, 4-1 in favor of the Pittsburgh Penguins. The one shot, though, for Philadelphia was a really good opportunity that went high on Tristan Jarry's blocker side. He's able to block that away with his shoulder. And now the Penguins, I mean, listen, this is the best penalty kill in the National Hockey League. So you see what they do really well right here. They pinned the puck up against the boards and just killed about 10 to 15 seconds. The Flyers get it out, looking, shooting, nice shot, a great opportunity, but cleared out by Brian Boyle. That's new dad Brian Boyle. He walked into the delivery room 10 minutes before his kid was born. That's the epitome of like pregnancy. That was easy button. I mean, he walked in 10 minutes later, the baby's born. Oh, there you go. Walk out. You're done. I know there's more than that, but still, it's the life of an NHL player. You get there when you can. Let's see. Jacob, I knew when I said that, for those of you that watch every night, Jacob is one of the ones that watches every night. He says he's missed 2. We've been doing this since the beginning of the season. I think the network as a whole has only not had a stream on like 10 times. So think of how many days have been in the NHL season so far. Jacob's just always on the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel. It's commendable. It really is. Penguins end up killing that penalty, and here comes Sidney Crosby. He was flying last night. We'll see what happens tonight. He always gets up to play in Philadelphia. And what did we say earlier? Rasmus Ristolainen, shit disturber. Going after Sidney Crosby. This is a rivalry that is slightly not really talked about because Rasmus Ristolainen has never really played on great teams, but he always seems to get in Sidney Crosby's face, which is always, it's a job that he seems like he likes. So let's see. Lots of fun in the comment section. Let me ask this question here for everybody in the comments. Allison plays it all. We tuned in. Wade Allison. So let me double check that for you, Derby Bar, asking if Wade Allison plays. Let me look. I can look on and see the box score. But while I do that, I do want to ask a question. Anybody that wants to comment their answer, try to get the correct prediction. Who scores the first goal on either side? Who is the first person to score in this hockey game? Let's see. As I keep trying to bring up and see if Wade Allison's on the ice tonight. Box score, Philadelphia. Let me just quickly look down through. It does not look like Wade Allison is playing, but I would still like you to stay tuned in, even if Wade Allison isn't in the lineup for the Philadelphia Flyers. So let's see some of the answers. Wow, I already asked that question, got some answers. Jacob says Sid the Kid, Sidney Crosby. And let's see, I saw it already here. I might be saying this wrong. Rummich. He says Crosby pretty much owns the Flyers, so he's not worried about it. Yeah, for his career, one of the teams that he has been successful against is the Philadelphia Flyers, in particular in Philadelphia. It seems like he just absolutely loves playing at Wells Fargo Center. So maybe that's who we have to look at. Jacob likes him as the first goal scorer. Hikaru K says Evan Rodriguez. I mean, he scored the game winner last night. He's far surpassed his career high in goals in half as many games. So lowest cost per goal that's up on the screen right now, Evan Rodriguez with 14 goals this year. Cost per goal, $71.4 thousand. I mean, if I played in the NHL, made just score one goal and I left and you gave me $71.4 thousand, I'd be good. I'd be fine with that. So the Boys TV joins us, says, yo, what's going on? Thank you for joining. Ron says, Sidney the Kidney or Jake the Snake? I've never heard Sidney the Kidney. I don't know why. It's been 15 plus years. You'd think I would have heard that by now, but I've never heard that. So props to you. I like that. Front Row Productions in there. Talking a little bit. The City Life Project says, who is Rodriguez? Isha, you know darn well who Evan Rodriguez is, okay? Don't give me this. Don't give me this. You are an NHL savant, Isha. Don't tell me you don't know who Erod is. Evan Rodriguez. That's Rummich says, Erod and Rust are good too. Brian Rust, I mean, what, 8 points in 2 games played since the COVID break when he returned from injury. So, yeah, it's pretty fair to say that he probably is riding a hot stick right now, and we'll see if he can continue that tonight. Aunt Debbie says, Erod. Oh, lots of fun from Erod. Where did he come from? Insane season. Yes. He came from Buffalo originally. Buffalo paid him $2 million a year and then traded him in the Connor Sherry trade. He was an add-on to the Connor Sherry trade where the Penguins traded Dominic Cahoon to Buffalo in exchange for Sherry and Rodriguez. Erod, he was getting paid $2 million, didn't really do anything at the beginning of his stint with the Penguins. They re-signed him for, I believe it was league minimum this year. And now he's gone off. He was the first line center for the Pittsburgh Penguins at one point earlier this season. Crosby was out. Malkin's still obviously out. And at that point, Jeff Carter was out as well. And Evan Rodriguez was the first line center. And he is very much doing had a great season, career best season. He's on a contract year, so he's going to make some money. Whether or not that's with Pittsburgh, that's a different question. But this is a guy that we've seen his confidence just grow if you've watched Pittsburgh Penguins games. And last night was the epitome of it. I mean, he did a spinorama with nobody around him to make a pass. There was no need to do that. And nobody does that unless they're confident or they're crazy. So I'm gonna stay with confidence, especially whenever he, scratched his back with his stick blade later in the day and then slapped through a slap shot for the game-winning goal, an absolute clap bomb that beat Jordan Binnington yesterday. He's just he's very, very confident right now, and that's making him have a great season. Danelle asked, there it is, which fans are worse in my opinion, Philadelphia fans or Boston fans? I mean, they're both very passionate, and I don't know why I took that down. I'll keep it up while I answer the question. They're both very passionate fan bases, but I mean, the Philadelphia fans, if I'm going to say which one is worse, I'm going to go with Philadelphia just because they actively boo all of their sports teams. Like, if it's the Sixers, I kind of get it to this point. Like, if it's Ben Simmons, I understand it to this point. But, like, they actively boo their teams, then they're very quick to do it. Like, but at the same time, they're probably one of the most passionate fan bases. So when their team's good, it's hard to find a fan base that is more behind their teams. And I think it's similar for Boston, maybe more so for like a Patriots than a Bruins, but I would say they're kind of on the same level, but I would say the Flyers might edge them out in that a little bit here. Let's see. Isha says, by the way, told me Charles Oliveira would retain the belt. One round off, but predicted the right outcome. Yeah, you got me on that. I don't know why I had a lot of faith in Dustin Poirier. I think it's because I hold Justin Gaethje to such a high standard. Seeing what Poirier did to Gaethje in that, or no, it wasn't Poirier, Gaethje. I'm missing something. I'm thinking of Michael Chandler and Gaethje. That match is ingrained in the back of my memory right now. So it's just, that was all time. That was best fight of the year last year, and probably the best fight that we're going to see for a while. Back to the game now. 6-3 here, halfway through the first period. Still only the lone power play for the Philadelphia Flyers that was killed off. And it's kind of been back and forth. I mean, these two teams haven't seen each other in a little over a month and a half now. So there's a little bit of a feeling out process here. They were supposed to play right before the Christmas break. That got canceled due to the COVID complications. And now still, I mean, you still see the Flyers having some COVID complications, but that might have played a factor into why this game was not canceled because they already have to make one of them up. Let's see. Nice save there on Joel Farabee by Tristan Jarry. And they're going to cut to commercial break. Perfect time for me to go through and look at some of these here. Passionate. Yeah, I'm just going to throw that up there. I'm not going to say it. Poirier beat Justin too, I think. I believe you're right. Because then Justin beat Chandler, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Justin beat Chandler. That whole division in the UFC. And I promise I'm not going to talk UFC the whole time, but it's just, me and Isha always have to talk UFC a little bit whenever I'm on here. But that whole division is just ridiculous. X Rummage says, if Jarry was in yesterday, it would have been like 5-1 Pens. I agree that there wouldn't have been as many goals scored for the Blues because the goals that they did score on Casey DeSmith were like atrocious. They were bad, not great goals. But, you never know how that game ends up if Jarry starts because, I mean, he did come in cold and shut him down, which was impressive in its own right, but you never know how that game, goes out. It's all about last night was the momentum shift, bringing him in, and the momentum shift when you make Crosby bleed his own blood on his own home ice. Doesn't usually end up well. It's like stepping on the terrible towel at a Steelers game, or it's like nothing for the Pittsburgh Pirates. I don't even know why I brought them up. But Hikaru says, and this is a good point here, it feels like this rivalry's cooled off a bit ever since Ed Snyder died. Well, I don't know about like because of that, but I feel like it cooled off a lot because, after we saw what happened in 2012 and the Flyers beat the Penguins and there was the whole torch passing for Claude Giroux. Obviously, that was a joke, but the Flyers really haven't been a threat at all. Meanwhile, the Penguins have won 2 Stanley Cups. So I feel like it's mainly because of the lack of Philadelphia's ability to just go out there and actually compete. Now, with that being said, like I mentioned, these games are always close. The Flyers, last time these two teams met was in 2018. The Flyers got absolutely pummeled by the Penguins in the playoffs. Usually it's a playoff series that gets rivalries going. Look at Florida versus Tampa this year. After that playoff series last year, every game they've played this year is just ridiculously intense. And even if you look at the Flames against the Florida Panthers a couple days ago, I mean, Blake Coleman was the guy getting scrappy with Jonathan Huberdeau. If you don't think that was tied to the fact that they played in a just knockdown, drag-out brawl of a series last year, you're completely wrong. So let's see. What else do we have in here? Nobody makes me bleed my own blood. Nobody. Everybody loves dodgeball. The Soda Pod, who's Minnesota Wild, are now down 1-0. I'd love to see a Marco Rossi goal tonight or a Matt Boldy. Either way, I should put that on in the corner, but I have this full screen because I have awful eyesight and I'm across the room from my TV. So a nice opportunity there for Kasper Bjorkqvist playing in his 3rd career game off the rebound there. And the Penguins finally have some sustained zone time here. I don't know if they have a delayed penalty. Looks like there's like 7 people. Yeah, there's a delayed penalty. I was about to say there's a lot of Pittsburgh Penguins on the ice. There has to be a delayed penalty. Since the rivalry fell off, since the Flyers fell off, the rivalry fell off. Yeah, basically what I was saying. So I agree. Soda Pod, definitely. Ron asks, thoughts on DeSmith this season? How do you feel about the future of Penn's goaltending with Lindbergh, Blomqvist, and Calle Klang? Okay, well, DeSmith and my co-host Horwat says this all the time. Backup goaltending in general is voodoo, but backup goaltenders have kind of an expiration date. They don't tend to stay around in one organization for very long. And DeSmith has been with the Penguins for a long time as the Penguins now head to the power play, the first of the evening for them. It was, I believe, 2 for 5 on last night's game. But no, Casey DeSmith, he started off really poorly. Had those 2 games, the one against the Seattle Kraken where the Penguins won 6-1. Then he had that shutout of the Anaheim Ducks, and you thought, okay, maybe he started to figure it out a little bit. But at this point, I talked to Danny Shirey. If you are on Penguins Twitter, you know who he is. Talked to him today. He'll be on the pod. That interview will be on the Tip of the Iceberg podcast on Monday. And he basically said, listen, Louis Domingue, as much as everybody likes him, and he had a really good start to the season in Wilkes-Barre, he might not be a better option than Casey DeSmith. So I don't know if Hextall has to go out and find somebody, but I don't know how much I trust Casey DeSmith between the pipes. If you looked at what happened on Sunday, a 6-1 game should never become a 6-5 game. And then he was left in there. That was a scary thing to me. And that's what tells me that Louis Domingue might not be, trusted. There's an opportunity for Evan Rodriguez, but a nice save made there by Carter Hart going end to end. But if you saw what happened Sunday, 6-1 becomes 6-5, and then you saw what happened the other day, and there's a goal. For those who said Brian Rust will score the first goal, and he stays hot, that is goals in 3 straight games since coming back from a lower body injury. And the Pittsburgh Penguins on the power play take the lead by a score of 1-0. The Penguins power play looked really good, cycling the puck really well. And let's take a look at the replay here. Crosby went out to Letang, and then just nobody covering Brian Rust down at the goal line. Beautiful play by Crosby to get it up to the point to Letang. And then, there was only one pass to be made there. And Letang did a good job of faking out that shot and freezing Carter Hart where he was at, and then finding the wide open man. And if Brian Rust would have missed that, there would have been some serious issues on the bench with Mike Sullivan. That is Brian Rust's 8th goal of the season, his 6th in the past 3 games. Absolutely red hot for one of the Penguins' top snipers this season. And just like that, it is 1-0 with just over 7 minutes to play here in the first. To the second part of your question, Ron, how do I feel about the Pens goaltending with Lindbergh, Blomqvist, and Klang? Well, Klang and Blomqvist both were at World Juniors. Neither of them got the chance to play because they were backups already, but only a couple games were played. But looking at those 2 guys, I think Blomqvist and Klang, usually when you get guys over from Europe, especially goaltending prospects, you have to see, and it takes a little bit of a while. And there's a reason that they drafted 2 of them in one draft. most of the time it's kind of up in the air. So they tried to up their chances of getting a really good player out of Europe by drafting both of them, Blomqvist and Klang. They're both really good, really young. And Lindbergh, I like a lot. We're not going to see Lindbergh this season. At least I would hope not. If we do, there's something that has gone seriously wrong with the Pittsburgh Penguins goaltending situation. But he's a guy that, he's a proven winner at UMass. He won the Frozen Four last year for UMass, the national championship. And he's somebody that came in, was the AHL goaltender of the month for the first month of the season. He's been dealing with injuries, but altogether, those are three pretty good prospects, but none of them are really in particularly any close to the NHL. And right now, you don't really need it because Tristan Jarry has been having a really great season for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Let's see. I spent a lot of time on that, and I think I know Ron very personally. So, I mean, it makes sense that I spent a lot of time on it. But it was a good question, so thanks for the question, Ron. SodaPod says, as a Pens fan, still hate the Flyers, and my brothers most of the time for being a Flyers fan. Yeah, you did tell me that. Here's an opportunity down the rink, 2-on-1, and there's an opportunity. Oh, what a save. I don't know if he made the save on Danton Heinen or if he just hit the post, but a great opportunity with an open net for Danton Heinen, and a sprawling Carter Hart keeps the puck out of the net by hook or by crook and keeps the game at 1-0. If that's the type of game that he's going to have, this is going to be a much harder task for the Pittsburgh Penguins to dispatch of their cross-state rival. A slap shot there goes wide and all the way out, and the danger is gone for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Yeah, Hoppy, you have told me that before, and I would understand that. Luckily, everybody in my family is Penguins fans. So it made it easier growing up that I didn't have somebody to butt heads with, but maybe just not as fun. There's a nice shot on and a nice save made by Tristan Jarry. A great opportunity, and that goes in, but they are calling it out. Jarry is not liking what Scott Laughton did, and hey, whoever asked for a fight, whoever asked for tempers to flare, here you have it. Penguins, Flyers, white and orange all over the ice now after Tristan Jarry took some liberties with the way that play was ended. But that goal is waved off, probably because he lost sight of the puck. But that is a good break for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Bad break if you're the Philadelphia Flyers. Rummage says that hit the posts. I think you're talking about the Heinen shot. So that was a wide open net, and that's the type of thing that could really change the complexity of a game. So we'll see if it happens. I mean, you look the other way, that probably should have been a goal for the Philadelphia Flyers. It really should have been a goal there. Let's see. Coasters and Brews. This is the first time I'm seeing you in here, so thank you for joining the stream. Flyers missing half their players would be embarrassing if the Pens lost. That's true, but also, these cross-state rivalries, these rivalries, Pens, Flyers versus Rangers. It doesn't really matter what state the teams are in. They're usually going to be close matchups, and very frequently, or infrequently, I should say, do you have a shutout, or not a shutout, but a game that ends so far apart and a blowout. So it looks like Scott Laughton's going to be in the box. Anybody else going in here, we'll have to see. Mike Yeo doesn't look happy, so it might just be Scott Laughton. Yeah, Tristan Jarry is smiling, so I doubt they called a penalty on him. We'll see what happens there. The All-Star game's coming up. Wow, the All-Star game's coming up already. I guess it is. It's the beginning of January. I'm not usually a fan of the All-Star game. Let me know in the comments. Do you like the All-Star game? Like, do you like watching the skills competition? Do you like watching the actual game? Is it better since they went to the 3-on-3 format? Let me know what you think about them. So as they cut the commercial here, just about 5 minutes remaining in the first period of play. Let's take a look at the stats as of right now. 15 minutes into the first period. Penguins lead in shots on goal, 11-7. Block shots, not very many of them in this game. The Flyers have 1. The Penguins have 0. Penalties, 1-2. I believe that the last one by Scott Laughton is going to put the Penguins on the power play. So 2 penalties taken by the Flyers. The Penguins are 1-for-1 on the power play, while the Flyers are 0-for-1. So we'll see if the Penguins can improve on that mark after the commercial break. Hits, 9-6 in favor of the Philadelphia Flyers. Face-offs, 7-4 in favor of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Giveaways, 2 in favor of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Takeaways, also 2 in favor of the Pittsburgh Penguins. So we got an even matchup right now. I mean, the Penguins, when it comes to skill, are outmatching the Philadelphia Flyers. When it comes to their actual roster and what they look like on paper, they outmatch the Philadelphia Flyers. But if the Flyers wanted to win this game, I said it earlier in the stream, they have to keep the scoring low. You get a little help there from Danton Heinen hitting the post instead of actually scoring a goal. It stays 1-0. You get an opportunity that should have probably been a goal. I still haven't seen a replay of it. Thanks for that, ESPN Plus. But here, we're going to get one here. It was Farabee shoots it on net. sends it back in. Lawton poked it out. I don't know if that didn't look like it was necessarily frozen. I mean, the ref might have lost sight of the puck, and that's why he blew the whistle dead and blew the goal dead, but it should have probably been a goal. That's what I'm going to say. So let's see. Jacob says All-Star game in Vegas this year. It is, and that might make it a little bit more fun. I did like it the last time in St. Louis. I thought they did a good job. I thought it was fresh, but I don't know. I have a hard time getting into it fully. Ron jumps back into the comments, says, likes the skills competition. 3v3 format is better, but all-star games in all sports, Pro Bowl, NBA, MLB, they're all jokes. Yeah, they usually are. I like the fact that the MLB all-star game means something, at least. I mean, the winner gets home field advantage in the World Series, so it means something at the very least. But no, the all-star skills competition, and there's a goal again by, oh God, who else? Brian Rust again. This guy, 7 goals in 3 games this past week. I believe he also has, he had 5 points, and he had 3, so he's 8. So that's 10 points in the past 3 games for Brian Rust. This is an absolutely ridiculous pace that he is setting. And if you think about what happened before the injury, he was dealing with a nagging injury basically all season long, was on the COVID list, and only had 2 goals. One of them was an empty netter. He's come out of this, like a house of fire. And the Pittsburgh Penguins right now lead it 2-0 with 5 minutes left in the first period of play. This is exactly where they wanted to be, taking advantage on the power play for the second time in this game. And I mean, the Penguins' power play all season has kind of been, dare I say, inept. I've called it inept already on this platform, so I'll say it again. It had been inept, but last night, a great showing, and tonight already, another great showing. I don't know if that was a power play goal, because now it's at 4-on-4. So maybe it was just a 4-on-4 goal, but either way, Brian Rust, second goal of the game. He's looking for his second hattie in the past, I don't know, 3 games? Yeah, second hattie in the past 3 games. So we'll see how that plays out here. He's looking for a hat trick. He has a lot of time left to do it here. Let's see what else we have. X Rummage, you're at that. Never mind. That's a comment section question. There we go. Rust remembered it's a contract year. He did. And you know what's funny about this is his performance especially reminds me of his very season a couple years ago. I believe it was 2017-18, before he had scored the 26 goals, the 28 goals in back-to-back seasons. It was a question of, Brian Rust was an integral part of the Stanley Cup teams in 2016, 2017, Mr. Elimination Game, Mr. Game 7 for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So there was a question of, can he do it on a consistent basis? And the start of the 2017-18 season was similar to this one, where he was not scoring. He actually had 0 goals for the majority of the beginning of that season. And then in January, randomly, one day against a great opportunity there, that might go in, but a nice save by Carter Hart. Can somebody help Carter Hart here? Because he is getting absolutely shelled. It's starting to look like what James Reimer was facing on Sunday against the Pittsburgh Penguins. A couple of 10-bell saves, 1 lucky post, and Carter Hart is just flying all over the place, trying to stay and keep his team in it here, because it is like I said earlier, it's an uphill battle. A nice cross-crease pass, and so close was Jake Gensel to making that a 3-0 game. They might actually have to review this. Where was the puck? Oh, that's going to be a close. Oh, no, that's going to be a goal. He made the save initially, but then his wrist rolled over, and it looks like, yeah, he carried that puck in. It's going to be 3-0 in favor of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and this could get ugly very quickly. Yep, they're reviewing that. That's probably going to be a good goal, and Jake Gensel continues his personal point streak for a long time. So, yeah, Rust, where was I even at? I was talking about the fact that, 2017-18, he scored that hat trick in the Blackhawks game and then went on to score basically at a 30-goal pace the rest of the season. And since then, he has been dominant. So in a contract year, he might be playing his way right out of Pittsburgh, but he's going to make a great amount of money. Here we go for the call on the ice. I don't have volume, so I don't know anything that what he's saying, but it's nice of ESPN Plus to show us the back of him when he's saying this. And that is going to be a good goal, just as we expected here. So it is 3-0 in favor of the Pittsburgh Penguins in the first period of play here. Still 3:44 to go in the first period. Carter Hart, props for trying. He came the whole way across. He made the glove save, just couldn't keep it out as he was falling over, trying to pull his arm back, but he pushed it in, rolled his wrist over just a little too much. And that's going to be Jake Gensel, I believe, is 16th of the season. We'll have to wait and see when the score update comes across the screen. But Penguins now up 3-0, and I'm feeling pretty confident about my Penguins -1.5 bet as of right now. So checking down through the comment section here, Ron says 7 goals in the last 7 periods for Rust. Absolutely ridiculous pace that he is setting right now. He's that's the 17th goal of the season for Jake Gensel, but I do a 3 stars of the week for the hockey hotbed. I have to record one tomorrow. I think Brian Rust is probably going to be up there in the 3 stars of the week category this week. Wild currently lead 2-1 over Boston, Jacob says. Now, who have scored the goals for the Wild? That's what I want to know. Give me a Kaprizov, Boldy, or Rossi goal. That's what I want. I correctly predicted, and not predicted, but I kind of like summoned a Kasper Bjorkqvist goal in his NHL debut on Sunday. So maybe I'll try to do that for the Minnesota Wild. They need a win, by the way. I don't know if State of Hoppy's still in here. I don't know if Isha's still in here, but boy, do they need a win. They've been stuck on 19 wins for over a month now. That's, I mean, it doesn't help that they've only played like 6 or 7 games, but it's been a rough stretch of things for the Minnesota Wild. Hey, look on the bright side. Nobody can get mad at me for not putting them above the Blues now in my power rankings. The Philadelphia Flyers, let me pull up the standings really quickly on my phone to look at where they're at, because I know they're not doing great. And this COVID situation isn't helping, but I mean, they have moved up a little bit. They're sitting in 5th place in the Metropolitan Division, but there is a large gap between them and where the Pittsburgh Penguins in the top 4 start. There's an 11-point gap there. The Flyers don't even have games in hand, and now dealing with all of this, it might be time to see the Flyers actually start to break it down. I mean, they've kind of avoided a full-on rebuild for a long time now, but trading Jake Voracek in the offseason, finally getting out from under the Shane Gostisbehere contract, it might be time that we see Ivan Provorov might be traded this year. Claude Giroux might be traded this year. Neither are playing in this game right now, but if you're starting a full-on rebuild, those are your 2 biggest pieces. And if those guys get traded, I mean, Provorov, not as much, but Claude Giroux, to see him playing anywhere but Philadelphia would be so strange. So we'll see what happens with that. But those names are starting to pop up on the trade radar. Flyers looking to give a little bit of pushback here, down 3-0 early on. Jari's going to save that. And, for all of you that wanted to see a scuffle here, 3-0, this is about the time that the Flyers are going to try to turn the tide, maybe try to sucker one of the Penguins in for a fight. But historically, the Pittsburgh Penguins don't really have that many fighters. So you don't really usually see the Penguins fight, especially when they're up 3-0. Mike Sullivan would probably lose a gasket or blow a gasket if he saw that happen. But Baltimore Orioles have joined us. Hot dog, hot diggity dog. Thank you for joining the stream. Make sure you drop a like. And if you haven't already, subscribe, because if you like this, we have streams like this every single night here on the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel, brought to you as always by DraftKings, the best sportsbook in the entire world. They don't tell me to say that. That's just what I say, because it's the sportsbook I use. X Rummick says 3 goals on 14 shots is rough. Yeah, it is, but you look at the way the goals have been scored, it's not like Carter Hart is getting much help right now. And it's not like he has much help to get, because 50% of the roster is out either due to COVID or just injured, like Couturier and Ryan Ellis. So, I'd like to talk more about the Philadelphia Flyers, but just right now with the team that they have on the ice, the story is pretty simple. Everybody's hurt or everybody's sick. And the people that are out there are trying their best, but they really can't do anything when 45% of them are all Lehigh Valley Phantoms. So the Penguins looking to become the team with the longest win streak in the NHL this season at 10. And they're starting to look like the Globetrotters in the offensive zone. And that's the Penguins' first line. So they kind of do that to every team. So I wouldn't say that's necessarily because of the Flyers' injuries, but it's getting highlighted today. For sure. Scott Lawton comes in. His shot is blocked up high, and that's going to be a stoppage of play with 45 seconds remaining in the first. 15 shots to 7 in favor of the Pittsburgh Penguins. So it's starting to show the dichotomy between these two teams right now. Thank you to everybody that's joined so far, the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel. My name is Nick Berlansky. I host 2 podcasts here on the Hockey Podcast Network. Firstly, the Tip of the Iceberg podcast, which I've been doing for over 3 years, where we cover the Pittsburgh Penguins in its entirety. The team, we just started a new segment called Sully Speak, where we break down quotes from the Pittsburgh Penguins head coach. Today, we broke down a quote of his that also connected to a quote of Chris Letang. So tune into that episode 27 of season 3. And then I also do the Hockey Hotbed, where I cover every single team, all 32 in the National Hockey League. That one, we have Shane Ryan and Neil Villapiano joining on Monday's episode. We talked a little bit about World Juniors, some prospect talk, some draft talk. We talked about the Senators and the Devils, or the 2 teams that they cover. We also talked about overall storylines for the NHL season. So biggest surprises, best stories, we covered all of that. So let me jump back into the comments here, as the period is almost over, and I will be taking a quick break right after the period ends just to kind of regroup, use the bathroom, and then I will come back, have my intermission report, and then we will head straight in to the second period of play here. But jumping into the comment section, Jacob says, Jonas Brodin and Kirill Kaprizov. That's what I like to hear. I love hearing when Kirill Kaprizov scores. I'm a big Cappy fan. Ron says, with Jari having such a great season, 934 save percentage, you're doing like homework, Ron. Like I sent you the link. I was happy that you said you'd tune in, but you're like doing homework. You're involved. You're asking questions. I love it. I love it. I'm going to have to get you, I don't know, just like sit next to you at Christmas next year, I guess. I don't know. Do you credit this partially to a new goaltending coach? Would the coach have that big of an effect? I do. I think Andy Chiodo is a big part of the reason why Tristan Jarry has had such a good season. I also think it's just confidence, because after that playoffs and after, of course, what happened in Game 5, we don't have to actually bring that up. But after that, a big thing for goaltenders would be confidence. And the fact that not only did Hextall and Burke bring him back, but they didn't bring anybody else in. They brought in Louis Domingue. I mean, that's not a guy that's going to threaten Tristan Jarry. So the confidence that instilled in him, I think, paired with the fact that they bring in Andy Chiodo, who's a guy that worked with Tristan Jarry in the minors when he was coming up, I think that's all been a really big help as to why he's been able to turn it around this season. And if you remember, even last year, he was playing really good at points. Like, he started off slow, but at the end of the season, in the regular season, he was playing extremely well. So I think this is just a carryover from that. And a lot of people, when they think of Tristan Jarry last season, they immediately think of the playoffs, where, yes, it was abysmal. It was bad. It was the reason they lost in the first round. But when you look at the fact that in the regular season, he had pretty good numbers. In the year prior, he was an all-star. I think this is just an accumulation and the maturity and the confidence of one of the best goaltenders in the National Hockey League. So thank you for the question, Ron. I appreciate it. Hikaru says it's just kind of crazy that all those highly touted Flyers D prospects they'd had for so many years and only Provorov really panned out. Yeah, they've had some trouble getting young talent together. But at the same time, you look at a guy that is on the ice tonight, and why can I not remember his name? One of their defensemen, let me bring it up really quickly. I am going to cut to a commercial break here, but when I come back, I will be answering everybody else's questions in the comment section. I just want to find this name really quickly because I can't believe I'm forgetting it. I literally heard somebody talk about it for like 30 minutes today. Box score, Philly. This is awful, awful radio. Cam York. Why could I not remember that? Cam York, he played pretty good when he came up initially last year, and he's going to be a stud. Like, I know a lot of people have said that about the Flyers defensemen. Shane Gostisbehere was in that same range. Philip Myers is still a pretty good defenseman, but they traded him away. But no, Cam York is going to be very good. But I'm going to take a quick break. When I return, I will continue answering questions. And then, of course, period number 2 of the Pittsburgh Penguins versus the Philadelphia Flyers. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel. My name is Nick Berlansky, host of the Tip of the Iceberg podcast, the Hockey Hotbed podcast. But tonight, I'm the host of the Hockey Podcast Network Watchalong of the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Philadelphia Flyers. A one-sided affair up to this point. Penguins lead it 3-0 in the first intermission. And if you're watching the ESPN cast, you see Mark Messier on there. And although I haven't had quite as many NHL games, I have zero. I'm thankful for everybody that is tuned in here. Make sure you like this video if you like it. Subscribe to the channel if you really like it, because we have watch-alongs like this every single day of the NHL regular season. With the Olympics coming up, I don't know if this is a spoiler. I don't know if this is a news drop. I really doubt that it is. I feel like I've heard people talk about it. We're going to have Olympic watch-alongs too. The NHL might not be there, but the Hockey Podcast Network will be there virtually. Obviously, we're not sending anybody to China. That would be cool. And I would no, probably not sign up for that. I need to make money here. But thank you for tuning in. The Penguins right now lead 3-0 over the Philadelphia Flyers. It's been one-sided, but you kind of expected it to be one-sided. The Philadelphia Flyers are missing Claude Giroux, Ivan Provorov, Sean Couturier, Ryan Ellis. The list goes on. Travis Sanheim, Travis Konechny. They're missing 90% of their skill core. They're missing their best players. They're missing their top scorers, and they're basically hanging Carter Hart out to dry. Now, it hasn't been a great game for Carter Hart, giving up 3 goals in one period, but how many of those goals can you really blame on him? Even the third goal, he made the save, but his glove just happened to roll on into the net when the puck was in it. So it's unfortunate for him, but let's look at the stats breakdown here of the first period of play before we get to more comments in the comment section. Thank you to everybody. It's been a very active comment section, which I love to see. It's so much fun to see. But on the stat sheet, obviously where it counts the most, Penguins lead 3-0, but on shots on goal, Penguins lead it by a tally of 15-9. Block shots even at 4 apiece. And then looking down at the penalties, 2 taken on each side. The Penguins, however, did score 1 power play goal. The second Brian Rust goal was at 4-on-4. So only 1 power play goal for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Hits in favor of the Philadelphia Flyers by a total of 12-6. Face-offs at 13-9 in favor of the Penguins. Giveaways 3-0 in favor of the Penguins, and takeaways 2-0 also in favor of the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Penguins are looking for their 10th straight win. This is their second win streak over 5 games this season. The question then has to be asked, is this just a team that is streaky, or is this a team that's actually a contender? I talked about this today a little bit. I like how I'm giving my entire podcast away the night that it come out, but we've gotten a lot of downloads, so I'm okay doing it. The question has to be asked, are the Pittsburgh Penguins a Stanley Cup contender this season? I'm not saying yes. I'm not going to say yes to that. I'm probably not going to say yes to that at all unless they win out for the next 2 months. I'm not going to give them that because I haven't seen this team perform in the postseason. The only play, there's very few holdovers from the 2016-17 team. There are a good bit, but if you look at it, the playoff failures of the past couple of years, even though they played really well last season, I don't know how Tristan Jarry is going to perform in the playoffs. It might be a thing where he can only perform in the regular season. You don't know. So we're going to have to see what happens with that. But certainly right now, I would say they're probably the hottest team in the National Hockey League. I don't even think that's a hot take. I think that's pretty cool as far as takes go. But let me jump back into the comment section here as we are in the first intermission right now. Front Row Productions says, did I say the Flyers are going to win? Oh, no, that was definitely a typo. What you meant to say was go Pens. Okay, I believe you. You hate what spell check, ducking, stuff like that, spell check. Yeah, Front Row Productions are usually never wrong. So I agree. That was probably a spell check there. Let's see. X-Robert says, what teams do I root for? Like I said, born and raised in Western Pennsylvania, so grew up rooting for the Pittsburgh Penguins. I watch more Penguins hockey than I watch anything else. So usually my allegiance lies with the Pittsburgh Penguins. My second favorite team, that was asked of me a couple watch-alongs ago, and I didn't really have an answer, but it really is the Minnesota Wild. When I think about it, the way I watched the Winter Classic and how upset I got at the Winter Classic, I realized that the Minnesota Wild are my second favorite team. And that's not pandering to my buddy State of Hoppy. That's not pandering to Isha Jerome, who is my boss. But it's just because, one, Billy Guerin, obviously, has done a great job with Minnesota since he took over. And 2, how do you not love Kirill Kaprizov? And also, the team is fun to watch. And when you've seen a team be so mediocre for so long, as in basically my entire life, to see them finally become fun to watch is something that I'm excited for. Vaughn's Midnight Snack says, Russ for the hat trick. We could see it. He's calling. So, Vaughn, if it happens, I'll have to give you the credit for it because you're the first one that I saw say it. I saw a couple of people saying that he might score, but you're the one that says you're calling it. Mr. P says, where can you see it live? ESPN Plus or Hulu in the United States. If you don't have either of those, you can also go to NHL 66. I think it's .com, .tv, something like that. But just type in NHL 66. It's NHL streams, and you should be able to pull up the Pens versus the Flyers. You just bet $1 on the Flyers. I'm sure that money line right now is pretty good value. So if they come back and win, you might make a couple bucks there. Yeah, Hikaru K, that's perfect right there. Especially rough for the Flyers with Couturier out. He usually locks the Pens down. That is very true. I mean, usually Sean Couturier's assignment when it's Penguins versus Flyers is Evgeny Malkin. He would have been able to just go full bore at Sidney Crosby today. So unfortunately, that's not going to happen because, I mean, both of those players are out. Malkin and Couturier, two huge pieces to the history of this rivalry. Let's see. Vaughn says, who was missing from the Pens roster at the beginning of the season? They did all right. Get out and play, no excuses. I mean, the Penguins, like I said earlier, Evan Rodriguez was their first line center. Teddy Bluger was their second. I believe they moved. Wasn't Jeff Carter. Brian Boyle was their second line center at one point. So, yeah. Do I know where Deer Lakes is? I do not. I know Champion Lakes. I know Lake Erie. I don't know where Deer Lake is. I don't know why I went on that. Front Row Production says, I'm a Caps fan. I won't hold that against you. No, I'm just kidding. I don't hold that against fandom against anybody at this point. Going down here. Oh, Mr. P says you get 30 times the bet. So you have what? They're really 3,000 to 1 odds right now on the money line. I'd have to check that out. Ron with another paragraph in here. I mean, I can't read. What do you put so many words in here for, man? Come on. Yeah, I mentioned about Jari potentially being a great regular season goalie, not playoffs or something like that. Hopefully it's not early 2010s playoff flurry. Yeah, that would not be good. That would be really bad. So let's see. Nothing else in the streams as of right now. In the comment section, they're showing. Oh, that is a beautiful goal from Kirill Kaprizov. They're showing that on the ESPN stream right there. And yeah, that's vintage Kirill. I don't know if you can say vintage Kirill. It's only his second season, but it's great. Yeah, no. Tristan Jarry, if he's like 2010's Marc-Andre Fleury, then the Penguins got an issue, and they got to rush the development of one of those three that you mentioned earlier. You know, this is actually a good point here that Vaughn made. You got to love Jari getting that slash and letting Philly know he's not taking any nonsense. I mean, we've seen that a lot more this season, I feel like, from Tristan Jari. Usually, I don't remember before this season seeing him actually show emotion on the ice. So I don't know if that's something that he was told after the playoffs last year, like, hey, it's okay to show a little bit of emotion. It's okay to get a little bit fired up. If anything, it's going to get your team behind you a little bit more, not to the point that Jordan Binnington does it, because at that point, you know, when you force your coach to challenge a penalty and challenge a goal on your behalf, and it's just clearly not goaltender interference, you see what happens. You lose the game. But no, that's 100% seeing Tristan Jarry actually do that, sticking up for himself a little bit more this year. It's not a bad thing by any stance of the word. Ron just texted me. Sorry for the paragraph questions. I'm just kidding. I really do enjoy them, actually. Like I like getting the paragraph questions because you put thought into them. I mean, I like it. So if you look at the story of that first period of play, as we're getting close to puck drop on the second period here, obviously it's pretty clear that the Flyers are they're down too many men. So Nico asks, what channel is the game on? It's not on any actual channel in the United States. It is streaming on ESPN Plus and Hulu in the United States. And if you can't get either of those, they're on NHL 66. So definitely check that out. This one says, come on, Ron. I'm getting Ron in trouble in here, which is fun because, you know, that happens. So now the story of this game has basically been as it is. The Pittsburgh Penguins came in as healthy as they've been all season, and the Philadelphia Flyers have came in as debilitated by injuries and COVID as basically any team has been this season. I was very surprised. I was getting upset because I was like, okay, this game is going to get canceled and I'm not going to get to do a watch along tonight, which I was very ready to do. I mean, I spent probably 3 or 4 hours today behind a mic between podcasting and interviews and stuff like that. So I was getting myself ready. I was getting psyched up to come on and talk to everybody here in the comments section, talk to Ron. I wasn't expecting Ron, but talk to everybody that I've seen in the past 5 of these that I've done and meet some of the new guys and gals that have come on because of, I mean, just Neil's stream of the Winter Classic. I got to tip my cap to him. That was fantastic performance by him on New Year's Day. So you got to love that. Brought a lot of new subscribers on, and our goal tonight is to hit 800 subscribers. So if you haven't already and you like what you're seeing, hit the subscribe button. Let's get to 800 subs tonight. It'll be great for the network. It'll be great for me because it'll get me in the good graces of the bosses up top. So this game, I wish we'd had a better game right now. I wish, I do wish that Philadelphia Flyers were not as debilitated because usually Pens Flyers is a tightly contested matchup. Every once in a while you see a blowout on either side, but at the same time, this is just, it's almost unfair considering where the Penguins are at coming into this game and where the Flyers are at because, I mean, debilitated is not even enough of a word. I don't think the English language has enough of a word, and I only speak English, so I can't find a word for you that is just how kind of unfair this matchup has been up to this point. So Hikaru K brings up a good point. I haven't talked about it yet on this. Medium, Lafferty getting shipped out was addition by subtraction, in your opinion. I was also very hard on Sam Lafferty for his time here. I think that he had a skill set that was underutilized, but also he was not good enough to crack the middle six of this team. He was asked to play a bottom six role. And again, we talked about it with Danny Shirey on today's interview that'll come out on Monday, so I won't talk about it too much with that. But, he was a guy that was a fourth line guy. He had a lot of speed and he could hit. But apart from that, he wasn't able to really do anything else. He had that one great weekend in 2019-20 whenever the Penguins went out and played on the road against Winnipeg, and they also played Minnesota, where he had, I believe, like 3 goals in those 2 games, and that was part of his first call-up. And since then, I mean, he finished with 6 goals in 94 games for the Pittsburgh Penguins in his tenure here. It was not a good ending. He started off hot, ended off really not. And what you saw for the most part in between there, a couple of nice passes, a couple of nice assists, but for the most part, just a guy that, I mean, he scored 0 goals last year, if I'm remembering correctly. He's a guy that just wasn't fitting. He's a replacement level player that needed to go down through waivers if they were going to send him down. And with everybody getting healthy, they didn't want to have to do that. So they make the trade. They get Alex Nylander from the Chicago Blackhawks, who former first-round pick, former top 10 pick of the Buffalo Sabres. He's a guy that was never going to live up to the trade when he went to Chicago. He was traded for Henry Jokiharju, the defenseman that has been a top 4 defenseman now for Buffalo since that trade happened. And he never was going to fit in there. He was forced into the top 6 in his first season, had a decent year with, I believe, 26 points in 64 games. Then he had a torn meniscus last year, out for the entire season. This year, he's only played for the AHL's Rockford Ice Hogs. So now he's going to start in Wilkes-Barre. And realistically, we're probably not going to see him. So if we don't see him, that's still, losing a guy like Sam Lafferty is not a big deal. You got younger, you got a guy that was drafted higher in exchange for a guy that was never really going to make your team as long as Mike Sullivan is coach, and his seat is not particularly hot. If anything, his seat is ice at this point because he seems pretty comfortable and the team seems pretty comfortable with him as well. Second period just about to get underway in Philadelphia, the Wells Fargo Center, the venue for tonight's matchup. 3-0 Pittsburgh Penguins heading into this period. We'll see if Philly has a little bit of punchback. I would expect Mike Yeo got under these guys' skin in the first intermission. I would think that they're gonna come out with a little bit of something to prove here and a lot of pushback early on. And the Pittsburgh Penguins, which we saw that on Sunday, when they get out in front, they tend to take their foot off the gas. So this could get interesting in the second period. We'll just have to wait and see. Vaughn's Midnight Snack says, I think Mike Yeo told his team, don't make Crosby mad prior to puck drop, so don't think they listened. I don't know. I haven't seen a mad Sidney Crosby. I don't know if it's because yesterday we just saw like red mist Sidney Crosby, which we only see very, very few times. It takes a lot to get him to go red mist. On the other end of things, Evgeny Malkin, it does not take much for him to go red mist. We haven't gotten to see that yet. He might be returning. He'll be returning on this road trip. That is That is the only definite I can give you. He said he wants to return in the California portion of the road trip, which there's one more game between now and then, and that is against Dallas on Saturday. But he's going to return on this road trip, and we'll get to see 71 back on the ice for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Philadelphia to start this period has a little bit of zone time here against the Penguins' top unit. Well, a mixture of the Penguins' top unit and second unit. Looks like Evan Rodriguez was out there. Crosby must have gotten an early shift change. But here comes the rest of the second line here. Looking into the comment section again, Alexis, on average, says over 1.5, part 2. Would I double down on what the Penguins minus 1.5? I don't know what the question is there, but if that's the question, yes, I would double down on Penguins minus 1.5 here. Dan Frank, thanks for joining the stream, says, will the Penguins win the division? No. They're not going to. They have some games in hand right now on both the Washington Capitals and the Carolina Hurricanes, who are ahead of them. They don't have games in hand on New York, and they are getting close to all those teams. Here's going to be a great opportunity for Evan Rodriguez. Comes in, shoots the puck, and that is blockered away by Carter Hart. As far as the division is concerned, I think the Penguins have a chance to finish in the top 3, but I don't think that they're going to come in first place. I think those 3 teams ahead of them, of the 3 of them, again, the Penguins haven't played the Rangers yet. They haven't played the Carolina Hurricanes yet. We don't know how they stack up team to team, one-on-one, but I don't think the Penguins pull out the division this year. They've proven me wrong before. I didn't think they would do it last year, and they did, but I just don't see the Pittsburgh Penguins coming out on top of the Metropolitan Division this season. Second, maybe. Third place is probably where I think they finish slotting in. Behind, I would say probably behind, if anybody, behind the Carolina Hurricanes, who I think are going to win the Metro. And it's tough between the Rangers and the Capitals. I would say the Rangers are the better team because they have the Vezina caliber goaltender in Igor Shesterkin, but I don't know. The Capitals are like the Penguins. It's very tough to just count them out in any stretch of the word. And I just passed my calorie goal for today. Thank you to my watch. I'm not going to say what brand it is because no free ads. Vaughn with exactly, the change of scenery could benefit both players. We'll see what happens. Nylander, I don't think was ever going to be comfortable in the Chicago organization. And as far as, Sam Lafferty, his usefulness is run out to the Pittsburgh Penguins right now. So I don't know how he would have even made it into this lineup, especially with everybody getting healthier. Knock on wood that they stay that way because it would be fun to watch. There's a nice shot from way far out from Chris Letang, easily tracked by Carter Hart, who's having a better season. Last year, a lot was made of the fact that Carter Hart was really bad, and he was. The year prior in the bubble, Carter Hart looked like, the second coming of Carey Price, or I heard some people say, it's the second coming of Ken Dryden, which was very far, very quick. But last year, he fell back down to earth, and goaltending is voodoo. But this year, it hasn't been him. It hasn't been him. It hasn't been his fault that the team is that bad. So we'll see what happens there. Let's see what else we have here. Looking in. Cara says, misses when the Flyers used to play the first Union Center. Love that. Here's an opportunity for the Flyers, taking it out. A lot of patience there by Joel Farabee, who is somebody else that usually gives the Penguins fits. He usually gets on the score sheet at least once or twice whenever the Flyers play the Pittsburgh Penguins. I know he did earlier this season. But tonight, nothing really doing for the Philadelphia Flyers, and that's going to be an icing call on Sidney Crosby, bringing it back by Tristan Jarry's left side now. Ron says, Rangers are a wagon right now. They really are. I mean, the fact that they tread water in the top 2 whenever they had their goaltender out and they were leaning on a guy like Alexander Georgiev, who's not awful, but he's nowhere near what Igor Shesterkin is. And we talk about Brian Rust coming back and being lights out. Igor Shesterkin, since his return, has been absolutely phenomenal. I mean, capped off by the fact that he shut out the Tampa Bay Lightning the other night. I believe it was Monday night, 4-0 win at Madison Square Garden. And that put the Rangers, for the time being, in the top spot of the NHL when it comes to standings points. So yeah, they're a hard team to beat. And it's going to be interesting to see when the Penguins take on the New York Rangers and see who comes out of that battle, because they have a lot of young talent. They have a lot of high level talent with Zibanejad and Panarin, who, listen, Panarin was my preseason pick for the Hart Trophy. So as of right now, that doesn't look like a ridiculous request. We have a stoppage here, probably a penalty. It's going to be an interference call on the Pittsburgh Penguins. Might be Jake Gensel. I got a little glimpse of that. Just kidding. It's the youngster, Casper Bjorkqvist, taking, is that his first penalty? That might be his first penalty. And Mike Sullivan not happy with the call, but a chance here for the Flyers to open the door into making a comeback here. Johnny Peel, welcome to the stream. Thanks for coming in. My score prediction is the Flyers suck to 6. So I don't know if that's a 6-0, but judging by the verbiage you used, I think 6-0. I think we'll put that down there. Jacob is back. What time is it? 8:11? Jake, did the Golden Knights play at 10? Or did they play? I mean, it's in Vegas, so I would imagine that's a 10 o'clock game, which means I get to watch that after this one. I have to work too, so I'll be doing that. I'll be watching it while I work. But here comes the Flyers' second opportunity on the power play. The first one was early in the first period. They didn't get too much going on, and the Penguins trying to make that 2-for-2 on the kill as they send it the length of the ice, and that is stopped by Carter Hart, taken by Keith Yandle. Who's out on the ice right now? You see Kevin Hayes, Joel Farabee, Yandle, Van Riemsdyk. You know, that's not an awful power play. It seems more like a power play, too. You can clearly tell that, Konechny missing, Giroux missing, Couturier missing. That's huge. And Provorov, I believe, is also on 11 p.m. your time. Okay. And also, Provorov, I believe, is their point guy usually. There's a Farabee shot that is going to go off the heel of his stick and go behind the net. I mean, this Flyers team has kind of been middling for the past 4 years. So I don't know what reason. I mean, Chuck Fletcher this offseason, he made a lot of drastic moves. So it seemed like, and it's a nice block shot there by Brian Boyle. It seemed like Chuck Fletcher was giving this team one last try. That's why he brought in a guy like Cam Atkinson. That's why he sent out a guy like Jacob Voracek. He's trying to change things. He brought in some defensemen, paid a king's ransom for Rasmus Ristolainen, which was an awful idea, but also brought in a guy like Ryan Ellis, brought in a guy like Keith Yandle. They're trying to change the culture in there and trying to spark something in this team because it has been middling for entirely too long. But as of right now, it's not working, and it's probably time to finally just sell out and try to start a rebuild. You have some young players, Morgan Frost is there, who should be a really good young player. You have a couple of other players like Travis Konechny, who could be the next leader of this team. So it's something that they really need to, if they're going to do it, they need to commit to it at this point. So, and with that, I talked all this time about them trying to prolong this core's chances. And with that, they did not score on the power play. 3 whiffs. And you guys even noted that in the comment section. You're on it. 3 whiffs there by the Flyers on the power play. Just not a good look. And this just continues to go from bad to worse. But at least they're still only down by 3. Icing is called off there as Tristan Jarry wanted it. I don't know if it was ever even called. But the Penguins trying to set up shop and extend their lead, which they really haven't gotten many opportunities. 7 minutes here into the second period of play. That's one thing that I don't think a lot of people have been talking about with the Pittsburgh Penguins. They've been finding the goals like Pittsburgh Penguins teams have passed. They've been getting contributions from all out throughout their lineup. But realistically, the reason this team has been so good this year is because they've been really good defensively. John Marino is second on the team as among defensemen in time on ice, but also second worst on the team when it comes to offensive zone starts. So he's been given the task with more time on ice too, because he's bumped up to a second pairing role. He's been given the task of being a shutdown pairing, him and Marcus Pettersson. They've done a very good job this season, considering how much time that they spend in their own zone, their ability to, avoid allowing goals and shut down other teams' second, third lines has been really evident this year, and a big portion of the reason why the Pittsburgh Penguins have found success when a lot of their players, especially forward-wise, have been out. If you look at this 9-game win streak, and here's an opportunity for the Flyers, a slap shot, that's going to beat Tristan Jarry, and it is a 3-1 game. And don't look now, but the Philadelphia Flyers have some life. It's going to be a Cam Atkinson goal. He took a wicked slap shot on a 2-on-1, didn't even think about passing the puck, and he beats Tristan Jarry. It looked like blocker side with an absolute wicked shot from right in between the dots. Let's take a look at the replay here. It's a bad turnover by Jake Gensel, and then who was that trying to jump up? As I'm saying, John Marino's doing that. It pops off of his glove and goes the other way. his numbers don't lie, but that's not a good look there for Johnny Marino. But a nice goal by Cam Atkinson, one of the few NHL regulars for the Philadelphia Flyers still in the lineup tonight. And just like that, the Flyers make it a 3-1 game. Will it get closer? Who knows? But we know one thing is for sure. There will not be a shutout on the part of Tristan Jarry tonight. A great opportunity off the faceoff for Mike Matheson. That's going to be a shoulder save by Carter Hart. Rumwick says unlucky. And yeah, that's about it, because he tried to bring it down with his glove and it just deflected basically right onto the ground where Cam Atkinson could take it and get a great opportunity. So interestingly enough, that's just how it happens a lot of the time. Johnny Peel says can't watch it because he doesn't have ESPN. Well, if you try NHL 66, I don't know if you've tried that yet. I don't know if it works for you. NHL 66. I don't know if it's .com.tv. That's where we usually send people if they need a stream for the game. So if you want to try that out, you might be able to actually watch the game as well. Penguins, since that goal, have had a little bit more pushback, getting a couple more opportunities in the offensive zone, but still it seems like their feet aren't quite as much underneath them as it was in the first period, and that's something that we've seen from the Pittsburgh Penguins when they get out on top early. Danton Heinen takes the puck, gives it back to, gives it back to Evan Rodriguez, and an amazing play. And like we mentioned with Evan Rodriguez, it's not just the shot, it's just his presence and his confidence to make that pass. I don't think there's many players currently in the NHL that would think to make that pass, but it was just beautifully done trying to find Danton Heinen for an opportunity. And he was trying to wind up that clap bomb slap shot there, but he couldn't let it loose. Brian Dumoulin takes it, sends it down deep. Evan Rodriguez is going to take it himself, tries to send it up for Brian Rust, who already has 2 goals in the game. He sends it back down below the net. Penguins, a lot of zone time here, not a lot of opportunities on Carter Hart. So if you're the Philadelphia Flyers, you'll take that. But at the same time, you still trail this game by 2, just past halfway mark of the game. So you need to get a little bit more possession time if you're the boys in white and orange. Just such a weird color combination. It's like the PennDOT cone on the ice. Yeah, anybody else that needs a way to watch the game, if you have Hulu, it doesn't matter what subscription you have. Ron said it there. You don't need Hulu Live, just any subscription works. And just, let's see. You're late. My fiance joined the stream. She said 8:15. It's 8:18. Can't believe you lied to me, Kayla. I can't believe you lied to me. So 9:48 remaining here in the second period of play. The Philadelphia Flyers have cut the lead. Hey, and Johnny found a stream. This is what it's all about now. You got to help out the listeners and the viewers, because they're helping me out by hanging out with me tonight, talking about Pittsburgh Penguins, Philadelphia Flyers. If you have any questions about any other team across the league, I'm open to talking about it. Probably going to keep it strictly the NHL, but here's an opportunity for Joel Farabee. Tries to take it in, tries to get it past Chris Letang. An attempted toe drag does not work out for him, but the Flyers continue to have possession. This is what you need to see if you're a Philadelphia fan. You need to see them in the zone, and now they just need to get a couple more shots on Tristan Jarry, who's been pretty good this season, especially when the Penguins have a lead. He's been able to lock it down. Murphy dump there, and the Penguins clear the zone. It's going to be dangerous, but Letang able to clear it pretty nicely, and Ristolainen another turnover. These teams are just passing it back and forth through the neutral zone, it seems like. But here comes Sidney Crosby. At the end of his shift, he's going to dump it over to, I believe that's Mike Matheson, who just sends it right down behind the net to Carter Hart. Soggy Spy at 007, who scored for the Flyers. It was Cam Atkinson on a 2-on-1, came in, ripped a wrister past not Casey DeSmith. It would make sense if it was Casey DeSmith, but the ripped one past Tristan Jarry. That's what made it 3-1 just a couple minutes ago. Johnny said he liked and subscribed. Thank you so much, Johnny. We appreciate that. I don't know where we're at right now, but our goal is to get to 800 subscribers tonight. We were 32 shy whenever I came on the air just an hour and a half ago. So we know we got one. Thanks so much for joining, Johnny. And Soggy Spy 007 says, thank you. Well, thank you for joining me here on the Hockey Podcast Network Watchalong on the YouTube channel. This is, of course, the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel. If you like what you're seeing here, drop a like for me. I'd appreciate that very much. We have a very active comment section. Lots of great conversations to be had as we are just past the halfway mark of this game here between the Penguins and the Flyers, the Keystone rivalry, where one team is basically half their AHL roster and the other team is one of the hottest teams in the National Hockey League right now. Only 3 shots on goal for each team this period. It's been weird because in that first period, the Penguins just completely dominated the Philadelphia Flyers. But in the second period, as we've seen several times this season, the Penguins have taken their foot off the gas because they had a multiple goal lead. And now the Flyers have kind of started to climb back into it. And you see the momentum starting to level out. The ice is starting to level out. There's no more tilt like there was in the first period of play here. But if you like the stream that you're watching right now, make sure you subscribe to the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel because we do watch-alongs like this every single night. It's not always me, so if you don't like my face, my voice, my opinions, you don't have to listen to mine all the time either. We have Neil Villapiano that joins the show. We have Bob Matthews that does a lot of Capitals games. We have Isha Jerome as well as Dylan Kaiser that does the streams as well. We have a whole host of people. Zach Jerome does streams as well. We have a lot of hosts that jump on here and hang out with the listeners and the subscribers every single night of the National Hockey League season. And we're even going to have some Olympics watch-alongs. The NHL might not be sending their players, but we will be sending our hosts virtually to watch along with the Olympics. I don't know who's going to be playing for each team, but I did see 15 players for Team USA that were invited to camp. And the 3 that stood out to me, let's see if I can remember this, but the 3 that stood out to me, Jake Sanderson, who is in the Ottawa Senators development camp. He was a top pick a couple years ago. He was a guy that was on the U.S. World Juniors team. Going to be a lot of fun to watch and see how he plays against the older gentlemen that are probably no doubt going to be playing for Team Russia, playing for Team Sweden, even playing for Team Canada as well. But I saw him, Matty Beniers, who was the 2nd overall pick in last year's draft. He's in the Seattle Kraken and right now plays for the University of Michigan. He's going to be at the development camp. It would be a lot of fun to see him play. He was part of that Team USA gold medal team for the World Juniors last year. And there was another player that wasn't a World Juniors player. Oh, David Warsofsky, for all you Penguins fans. David Warsofsky is going to be invited to Team USA camp. So that's interesting. That's the one probably veteran, kind of like the Brian Giunta of the 2018 Olympics. So the City Life Project dropped back in here. I agree. Thank you to everybody for subscribing. Let's see if we can get to 800. I got to double check where we're at. Maybe the next time we cut to a commercial break, which is just about, let me see where we're at, 14. So we got about 6 minutes left in the second period. We don't cut to break during the period. We don't do that sort of thing. Even though the NHL has to do it, we don't. We go straight through and take one each intermission. That's what we like to do. The Squadcast joins in and says, let's go. Thank you for joining us, the Squadcast. I believe, didn't you guys do last night's watch along for the Hockey Podcast Network, if I believe correctly? I've watched all of them this week, actually, or at least for a little bit. So I think you were on last night or the night before. I can't quite remember, but a great job there for sure. The Pens are slacking right now. I agree. And I think this is the same exact thing. Listen, we heard Mike Sullivan say it on Sunday. He said, oh, it's human nature when you get up a couple goals to kind of take the foot off the brake, to relax a little bit, to lose a little bit of intensity. No, I think it's Pittsburgh Penguins nature. How many times are they going to show this Dior commercial with Robert Pattinson having sex? Like, I don't need to see that when I'm trying to watch a hockey game. I don't know why that's on there, but oh well, it's played like 7 times this game already. But yeah, no, the Penguins need to get their foot back on the pedal if they want to take this one and get back in control, because right now the Philadelphia Flyers are starting to feel a little bit of momentum, not on Joel Farabee's part. They're really outing this guy who, hey, maybe the Phillies need somebody, because those are some aggressive swings. You know, they have Bryce Harper, who's pretty aggressive at swinging the bat, but that was aggressive swings there by Joel Farabee. Kim Atkinson, he doesn't even care. I mean, Kim Atkinson gives him a fist bump. He just looked at him and he says, I'm still pissed. I'm still not happy. He got an assist on that goal too. So there you go. City Life Project. Isha says, Owen Power is playing for Canada and a lot of World Junior. I knew Owen Power was. Oh, poor equipment staff. Got to go and pick up all the pieces. Yeah, that is a thankless job for the most part. That's a thankless job. We saw Penguins equipment manager, 1500th game. He got standing ovation on the big board. He got, I believe, a jersey as well. And everybody loves Dana Heinze from the Pittsburgh Penguins, but usually it's a thankless job being an equipment manager or a team trainer. I'm sure actually they appreciate it, but as far as the public's concerned, usually pretty thankless. Here comes Sidney Crosby. I mean, that's his version of shot out of a cannon. He's not really doesn't really have the wheels anymore, more of a possession player and stoic almost. Nice pass there, gives it to Letang in space. Letang looking, holding, making a very ill-advised back behind the back pass. And they try to send it through. Letang tries to send it on net, but that doesn't go. A nice play by Scott Laughton to clear it out. And here comes Joel Farabee, surrounded by Pittsburgh Penguins, and he's just going to send it backwards, and they're going to regroup in their own zone. So, Owen Power playing for Team Canada. The reason I was so excited to watch Team Canada, and I know it's not going to happen because they're not going to send a 16-year-old, but I'd love to see Connor Bedard play for Team Canada. I'd love to see what he'd be able to do at the Olympics. So, him, Owen Power. Who was the other player? There was Shane Wright. I'm sure Shane Wright is probably among those guys that are going to be going. So, the Squadcast says, petition to get Yager on Team Czech. I'd love to see it. I want to see Jaromir Jagr play another NHL game. At the age of 50, who says no? I mean, he could probably, with all these COVID issues, don't tell me the Flyers wouldn't love to have Jaromir Jagr playing for them tonight. At the very least, it's something for them to cheer for. It's like a player that they have known before. Squadcast said they did. It was the Leafs-Oilers game. That's right. There was only 2 games last night. And the other one was the Penguins game. So definitely. I did watch a little bit of that in between watching the Penguins versus the Blues last night on TNT. So great job to that. And like I mentioned, we have lots of hosts that come on and do that. The Squadcast, just one of the lovely hosts that we have do these watch-alongs every single night of the NHL. That's what we got. What else do we have in here? Listen, Isha, too slow. Jaromir Jagr's too slow. Listen, Jaromir Jagr's been too slow since 2008. That doesn't mean that he can't play, okay? It's the shot, it's the body, it's the big freaking booty. That's his game. He can still do it. He can do that at an Olympic level. I mean, it's Jaromir Jagr. So if he said he wanted to, who would say no? Great opportunity for the Philadelphia Flyers. I don't know if that was saved by Jari, but it looked like it. And he made a nice save on, I'm trying to figure out who that was. Turn around. That's Derek Brassard that I believe cut through the crease, went backhand to forehand. Here's another opportunity. He just can't elevate the puck. And Tristan Jarry makes a sprawling save. The Pittsburgh Penguins, they're on their heels. We said that this could get interesting in the second period because the Penguins tend to take their foot off the gas. And here come the Philadelphia Flyers. It's basically Derek Brassard, Kevin Hayes, Cam Atkinson, and their band of merry men from Lehigh Valley, but they're still in this game down only 2 goals. Oh my goodness. Yes, I love the movie Goon. I like Goon 2, The Last of the Enforcers. I think the original is better, which is usually the case. Even with hockey movies, when you look at Slapshot and Slapshot 2, the original is clearly the better of the movies. And I'd even wager Mighty Ducks, the original is the best one. But have I ever seen the movie Goon, which yes, Letang reminds you of Xavier Laflamme, which, I mean, he's French-Canadian. So there's already that. He has the long hair. He has the beard. I mean, the same skating prowess. I wouldn't say lack of attention to defensive hockey, because I think Chris Letang the last 2 years has been probably the best version of Letang that we've seen, other than maybe 2016, whenever the Penguins went on that Stanley Cup run. He's been really good and really actually defensively responsible for the most part. There are still times and still games like yesterday where we see Chris Letang, revert to his old self, where he goes off the handles. But no, I would, if you haven't seen his headshot, and if you don't know which player I'm about to say, when you talk about Xavier Laflamme lookalikes, look up Frederick Gaudreau. Used to play for the Pittsburgh Penguins last season. Now he plays for the Minnesota Wild. The guy is like Walmart brand Xavier Laflamme, like his headshot at least. So definitely go check that out. I should probably just bring it up. I'm going to do that if that is permitted. I'm going to bring up Freddie Gaudreau's headshot. Let's see if I can find a good one. And I'll bring that up because he, at least last year. Oh, wait. As I'm saying this, there is a game going on, a nice opportunity there for Brian Boyle. But let me pull this down. I'm going to do this really quickly, and then we're going to go back to score, share screen, Freddie Gaudreau. You tell me that's not Xavier Laflamme whenever I pull it up here in a second. There we go. He's literally like Walmart brand Xavier Laflamme. That's Freddie Gaudreau last year with the Pittsburgh Penguins. He looks like it. To me, he looks like it. If his hair was a little bit longer and if his jawline was a little bit more, more chiseled, I would say he's a dead ringer for the. Why can't I think of the team's name? The Highlanders, but why can't I think of where they played? Well, he looks like the Highlanders' best player. So let me pull back the old live score app real quick, and then we'll get back to the comments section and back to this game where the Philadelphia Flyers in the last minute of the second period are making it a game here. Share screen and see. No. And we're back. You see, that's the type of production value you get. You got to love it. You got to love it. You're still on this. He was slow in practice in 2008 because he wore weights, so he could be lighter in games. He's still been slow. Like, even without the weights, the guy is slow, but it doesn't matter because he has so much, I don't know, what truculence is the word that Brian Burke uses. A great opportunity here, and that's off the post. Brian Rust looking for the hat trick goal, and he rings one. Just an absolute laser of a shot off the post, and that could have changed a lot of things. We have the end of the second period, and looky here. It's Rasmus Ristolainen and Sidney Crosby getting into it right after the whistle. Back into the movie talk here. City Life Project says, love Goon. I've been playing hockey my whole life, man. I've never signed dick before. Yeah, rule number 1, don't touch my effing Percocets. Rule number 2, do you have any effing Percocets? That's what you need to know. Kayla says, Goon, great movie, and agree with the comparison. Thank you. Rumich says, oh, yeah, he does. I'm glad I pulled that up so I can at least, make it right. Oh, Rumich, Halifax, the Halifax Highlanders. That's right, especially because I remember, I can't remember anything today, like movie stuff. The friend, I know his actual name, but I can't remember when we were saying Halifax. Yes. Now I remember. No, it was Halifax for sure. The Halifax Highlanders. So, yeah, that was a really good one. Good old Rob Ray. Fun movie. I would say probably my second favorite hockey movie. I mean, let me know in the comment section. What is your favorite hockey movie? I would say, I feel like I almost have to say Slapshot. Not only because it is one of my favorites, but because I was born raised in Johnstown where it was shot. So I feel like it's a rite of passage that it has to be your favorite hockey movie. But, I like Youngblood a lot with Rob Lowe. I think that's one of my favorite ones there. Jeez, yeah, all the Goon quotes in the comment section is it's going to be very hard to focus. But that is the end of 2 periods of play. There is a hockey game still going on as we're talking about as movies, but Penguins lead at 3-1 after the second period. They did not add any goals, and the Philadelphia Flyers brought themselves to within 2. So this is a game here, and they could get back into it. They just need to continue to play the game that they're playing and hope that the Pittsburgh Penguins continue to slow their pace down, because that's something you noticed in the second period, at least I did, is that the Penguins considerably slowed down their pace and took their foot off the gas. But we see that every time they get a multi-goal lead. But the stats after 2 periods of play, the Penguins on the scoreboard still lead by a score of 3-1. Shots on goal, 23-15 in favor of the Penguins. Block shots, 11-8 in favor of Pittsburgh. Penalties, 3 penalties taken by the Pittsburgh Penguins, 2 taken by the Philadelphia Flyers. The Penguins the only team to have scored a power play goal. Hits, 23-10 in favor of the Philadelphia Flyers. They're laying the lumber. Faceoffs, 1 in favor of the Pittsburgh Penguins. It is a 17-15 total. Giveaways, 4-2. Penguins have more. Takeaways, 7-2. The Penguins have more of those as well. But like I mentioned, that is the end of the second period of play, a 3-1 game. It is a lot closer than it looked at the start of everything. But we're going to take a quick break here. Let me just look down through here. Miracle, Rumich says, Miracle, Slapshot, and Goon. I do have to say Miracle is probably my favorite. I don't know why I forgot it for a second, but I ruined, I believe, like 4 or 5 DVDs watching Miracle. I don't know how I did it, but I think it just overheated because I did it so much. So, yeah, I watched Miracle a good bit when I was a kid. That has to be my favorite. Yeah, there's Goon. Jacob says it is 3-1. Wild. That's what I like to see. Cashew says, do I know what channel number to watch it on TV? It is not on TV. So that is the best answer I can give you. It's not on TV. It's actually on ESPN Plus and Hulu. If you don't have either of those subscriptions, we here at the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel tell people NHL66.com or .tv. I don't know what it is. Somebody else found it. So NHL66 is a good website to stream the game if you want to look at the stream. But Hikaru says Youngblood never gets talked about that much. It really doesn't. And I feel like Mystery Alaska doesn't either. As I say that, Vans brings it up. Mystery Alaska. Perfect. But yeah, I feel like Youngblood is one of the most underrated hockey movies because I remember the first time I watched it, it was on cable. I watched it before a playoff game and it was on Versus. So that's how long ago I remember watching it, and I don't even remember what year it was. But we're going to take a quick break here at the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel. Thank you to everybody that has tuned in so far. We are still not done yet. Second intermission of this game between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Philadelphia Flyers. Penguins lead by a score of 3-1. But like I mentioned, we're going to take a quick break. But when we return, second intermission thoughts and the third period between the Pens and the Flyers, the battle of the Keystone State. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel. My name is Nick Berlansky, and we are watching along to the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Philadelphia Flyers. The score is 3-1 in the second intermission here. The Penguins, obviously, on paper, were the better team coming into this game, and they showed it in the first period. But as we've seen with a lot of Pittsburgh Penguins games in the past couple of weeks, Penguins take their foot off the gas when they get a multi-goal lead, and that's what happened in the second period. They had their share of chances, but Carter Hart was able to stand tall just long enough for Cam Atkinson to get the Philadelphia Flyers on the board. And just like that, Matt Boldy, I called it. I said, I want a Matt Boldy or Marco Rossi goal. Matt Boldy gets his first career goal in his first career game. That's happening in Boston between the Wild and the Boston Bruins, currently a 3-1 Minnesota lead. But in this game, also 3-1, the battle of the Keystone State, the battle of Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh Penguins 3-1. The Philadelphia Flyers came into this game absolutely decimated by injuries with Couturier and with Ellis. And then also, COVID. They got 4 guys in the last 2 days that have come down with COVID. There was an honest belief that this game might get canceled or postponed. But I genuinely think the NHL looked at this and said, listen, we already postponed the game between these 2 teams. We can't continue to postpone games. And I think that's also what you're going to see happening more and more as the season goes along, because they're running out of time to fill in these games. I mean, you have the 2-week, 3-week NHL break that they were supposed to have for the Olympics. Now that they're not going, they can reschedule games in there. But there have been dozens of games that have been postponed. So you're going to see a lot of teams have to play in these situations through the second half of the season because they just don't have the time to make up the games. And they really don't want to add these games at the end of the season because they're trying to get back onto a normal 82-game schedule. And this was the year that was supposed to happen. Clearly, COVID had other plans, as it always does. But right now, the NHL is in a pickle when it comes to which games to cancel and which games not to cancel. We saw Anaheim's game tonight was canceled because I believe 5 players on the Ducks tested positive today for COVID-19. So it's an issue that the NHL is going to have to continue to look at for sure. Thank you for joining the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel stream of the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Philadelphia Flyers. If you like this video, if you like the stream, if you like the watch along, make sure you hit the like button. And if you really like it and you want more of it, make sure you hit the subscribe button too, because we have watch alongs like this every single night of the NHL regular season. It might not always be me. We have a plethora of amazing hosts that come on and do it. I usually do one every other week. I might be stepping up my frequency as the year goes along. I now actually have some better equipment. I have a camera that I haven't been able to use because I only have so many ports in my laptop, but we're working on it. We're getting a little bit more professional as time goes along. So jumping back into the comment section, because it has been bumping all night long. I can't turn away from it because I fall behind. Vaughn's Midnight Snack, who's been active all night long, says, Russ for the hat trick, still calling it. He's almost got it there at the end of the second. He did. And that was a really good shot. I thought it went in at first, but he's on it tonight. He's been on it ever since he came back from that injury. So I wouldn't doubt that he gets that, especially if there's an empty net. You know he's going to get out there and they're going to try to feed him for that empty net goal. Sir 46661 says ESPN sucks. They're not showing the Pens. They have Boston on. I guess it must be a regional thing, which is weird. No, ESPN themselves. I don't know how that works, but ESPN Plus, I know you can choose from each unless you live in a certain market. But I think since it's ESPN exclusive tonight, you can watch it on ESPN Plus in the Pittsburgh market, which would make sense. I don't know why I even said that. So Ron asks, am I still feeling good about Pens -1.5? I am, because even though it's only a 2-goal lead right now for the Pittsburgh Penguins, I think they're still the better team on paper. I think they're probably going to go in there in the second intermission. They're probably going to get chewed out a little bit by Mike Sullivan, to be completely honest, because they did not have a great second period. And when you're this much better than a team on paper, when you're playing a team's basically AHL roster, you want to prove how dominant you are. And this is a chance for the Pittsburgh Penguins to come out here in the third period and really do that, because I think at the end of the day, there's just too many injuries and too many players out for the Philadelphia Flyers to bring this within 2. Ron says Kaprizov got hurt. Now I'm sad. I'm going to have to go through the rest of this sad. Jacob loves THPN says 3-2 now. Okay. Cashew asks, am I rooting for the Pens or for the Flyers? When I come on here, I try not to root, but I will say I am wearing a Walking on Sunshine Justin Schultz shirt. So I grew up in Western Pennsylvania. I lean to the Pittsburgh Penguins, but I try not to root when I come on here. I think this is this stream I've done a little bit more leaning to one team than I have ever before, but I think it's mainly just because even the Philadelphia Flyers are not really the Philadelphia Flyers tonight. I mean, Cam Atkinson scored their goal, but other than that, there's not really many NHL regulars in the lineup for Philadelphia right now. Jacob loves THPN says Boston greater than the Penguins. I mean, I haven't seen it. I don't think Boston has the secondary scoring right now. If they were to go up against the Penguins in a 7-game series, I think the Penguins have the advantage in goaltending, in secondary scoring, and in defense. I think Boston wins when it comes to even it's close. I would take Boston's top line really over anybody, because those 3, if healthy, are the best line basically in the National Hockey League. But yeah, I don't know if right now the Boston Bruins are better than the Pittsburgh Penguins. They need to figure out their bottom six and try to get a little bit better with their depth scoring. Joining us from Arkansas. Thanks for joining. I appreciate it. Make sure, if you haven't already, subscribe if you like what you're seeing. If you don't like what you're seeing, as Pat McAfee says, just forget it didn't happen. Jacob loves THPN. This is funny. Boston has more cups. Boston also played when there was only 6 teams in the National Hockey League. So, yeah, I don't know if I want to hear that. It's like saying, the Montreal Canadiens are the best franchise. I mean, they are historically one of the best franchises, but since more than 6 teams have been in the NHL, they don't really have great numbers to the Montreal Canadiens. Vegas's first line is the best. Jacob, who is Vegas's first line right now? And it's Pacioretty, Stone, and Stevenson. I don't think that's the best first line. That's a good first line. That's a really good first line. I would say Colorado's top line is better. Honestly, Boston's is much better. Washington's, whenever it's Backstrom, Ovechkin, and I don't remember who else plays on that line. If it's Oshie or somebody, I would take them probably over Vegas's top line. So let's look. Bold predictions for the third period. That's a good question. My bold prediction for the third period, I'm not going to say Russ hat trick, Vaughn, because you said that, so I don't want to steal from you. My bold prediction for the third period is that Danton Heinen scores a goal for the Pittsburgh Penguins. He had a couple of opportunities in this game, rang that one off the post early in the first period. It seems like he's around the net and playing pretty good, and I also think his line mate, Evan Rodriguez, has been dishing him the puck very well all night long. So I think Danton Heinen scores a goal for the Pittsburgh Penguins. That's my bold prediction. Let me know in the comments what's everybody else's bold prediction. Thanks, Vaughn, for the great topic idea. Danelle jumps back in and says, what was my thoughts on the Winter Classic game between the Blues and the Wild on Saturday if I watched it? I did watch portions of it. I was driving from Pennsylvania back to Virginia for a portion of it, and I liked it. I thought it looked really cool. I think playing hockey in negative 12-degree weather is something that I've done before. Not at that level and not on that nice of ice, mainly on a driveway that I sprayed water on, got yelled at because the water froze, and then my family had to drive over it, but I didn't care because I didn't drive at that point. But no, I love the Winter Classic. I think it's starting to revive itself a little bit. This one and the one down at the Cotton Bowl between the Dallas Stars and the Predators, it's starting to revive itself a little bit. And that's in large part due to the fact that we don't have Stadium Series 8 times a year. I think if you don't overdo it, people will love the outdoor game. And I think the Winter Classic, if you leave it at just that, maybe even just the Heritage Classic as well in Canada, then I think that's where you're going to get your bread and butter. I know it's a money-making thing. I know they did it at Lake Tahoe to make money last year, but if you're doing outdoor games, I'm really only going to care if it's the Winter Classic. If one of the teams that I like to say do it, then okay, then I'll watch it. But I prefer, if I'm not going to it, which is a fun atmosphere as well, I prefer to just watch the Winter Classic. But I did like it. Jerseys were okay, but the game itself was a really cool atmosphere. I just wish it was a little bit closer of a game. And also, I took the under in that game, and I got completely shelled by the St. Louis Blues. So let's see what else. Vaughn says Crosby, Rust, and Gensel is the best first line. They're a top first line in hockey. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that they're a top first line in hockey. As the third period is getting ready to start here between the Penguins and the Flyers. The Flyers needing to score 2 to send this one into overtime. The Penguins looking to win their 10th straight, which would set the NHL record for this season at 10 straight victories. There would also be tied for the 5th longest win streak in Penguins history if they win tonight. So that's another really cool tidbit there as well. Danelle, you can find me on social media. That's actually a really good question. I don't know why I don't plug my social media enough on here, but you can find my personal social media at Nick_Berlansky. It's exactly how it's spelled right there, but with an underscore in it. That's my personal. You can follow my Penguins takes at Iceberg Podcast. You can follow my takes on the entire NHL and my podcast on the entire NHL at Hockey Hotbed Pod. So that's my social all on Twitter. I also have an Instagram and Facebook as well. So if you look up my name, there's not very many people with my last name. So especially first and last name. So I'm easy to find. Looking down here as the third period about to start. William Wallace, welcome to the stream here. Thank you so much for joining. It says Sid and Jake and Rusty is your top line in the National Hockey League. Okay, I like it. Not bad. Let me look down through a little bit more. Phantom 36 says the Flyers will come back and win in OT, hopefully. Hey, you got to be confident. You got to be positive, because if not, then it's probably never going to happen. But that confidence, and if this is what happens, if they do come back and get this win, or at least force overtime, I feel like that's a huge win for the Philadelphia Flyers. Vaughn says you want to see Penguins versus Capitals for a Winter Classic. You know, I don't need to see it. After what happened the last time in 2011, I don't need to see those two teams play in a Winter Classic again. Realistically, the Penguins have been in so many outdoor games. I don't need to see the Pittsburgh Penguins in another outdoor game. You know, I like the fact that they finally had one in Minnesota. I thought that was really good. I'm trying to think of Detroit's been in a lot as well. Maybe now that Seattle has a team, you know, maybe watch Seattle. They like to do two American teams. I was about to say Seattle, Vancouver, but maybe Seattle versus Minnesota. That might be a good one. Have it up there in Seattle at the Seahawks Stadium. I don't even remember what it's called anymore. It used to be called CenturyLink, but it's not anymore. But, you know, either way, I think everyone should get their chance to play an outdoor game. I agree. Yeah, Danelle says, I think every team in the NHL should get their chance to play an outdoor game. And I think the NHL is getting close to it now. They're getting more teams in. I mean, we saw that one game between the Ducks and the Kings played in LA, which, I mean, if you can do one there, obviously you can do one everywhere, but it was really weird to see something like that. Vegas has even had an outdoor game with the Lake Tahoe games last year. So a lot of teams are getting their chances. Minnesota finally getting a chance there. And now I believe we have two stadium series this year. Nashville and Tampa is one. I think there's another one. I just can't remember off the top of my head. Like I said, I don't really pay too much attention to the outdoor games as much. Marcus Hunt joining the stream here. Hi, how's it going, Marcus? Thank you for joining the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube stream of the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Philadelphia Flyers. Well, that's mean, but, you know, that's fine. I like being annoying. Most annoying person on the Hockey Podcast Network. I don't doubt it. I really don't. I'm a fairly annoying human being, so I've been told. So, but thank you for joining the stream. I appreciate that, Jacob. Let's see. Looking down through it, Rummage says Jari's helmet looks cool. I do love that he's sticking to the Tom and Jerry theme every single year on his helmet. I like that. Sir says play an outdoor game at Kingston, New York. I don't know what's there. I think the Islanders are probably going to be a team that gets one here pretty soon. I don't know how they do it or not. Let's see. Danelle helping me out says that's the only Stadium Series game this season, Lightning versus the Predators. Okay. Well, that's good. Again, you don't need to overdo it. It's going to be some players going to the box here. It looks like Scott Lawton is trying to plead his case. Jake Gensel is just kind of skating away here. So we'll see if there's anything that comes out of this between these two teams. Just about 2 minutes into the third period of play here. Gensel skates over. He goes into the box. Might be playing some 4-on-4 hockey. I don't know who they're taking here. It looks like Lawton's going to be in the box as well. So we're going to get some 4-on-4 hockey again between the Flyers and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Last time we had this was in the first period, and Brian Rust scored his second goal of the game. So we'll see if the Penguins can take advantage here. Starting in the offensive zone to Carter Hart's right. And it looks like Rust is out there with Sidney Crosby and the top D pair unit of Dumoulin and Letang. An opportunity almost there. Letang able to get it across, and a nice tip job and almost an opportunity there. Crosby tipped it almost right to Brian Rust, and the opening was there, but the Penguins couldn't capitalize. And the Flyers were able to get it out of the zone. Brian Dumoulin skating around in his own zone, looking for the breakout. He's going to circle back and look for his D partner in Letang. Instead, he reverses field, goes to Evan Rodriguez. Rodriguez is going to take it behind Tristan Jarry. Sends it back to Dumoulin, who's going to once again slow it down, looking for something on the breakout. Penguins are looking for that perfect play here at 4-on-4. Brian Dumoulin takes it in, takes a shot high on Carter Hart, but he's able to block that away, and the Flyers get it out of danger quickly. Kept in there by Evan Rodriguez. I don't know if I thought that looked like it was a little offsides, but here might be an opportunity for Rodriguez. He takes it into the zone. He's on the ice with Kapanen, and Letang is in the zone with him right there. Rodriguez sends it on net, easily blockered away by Hart, and the Flyers get possession of the puck. Whole first minute of this 4-on-4 was dominated by the Pittsburgh Penguins, so let's see what the Flyers can do here as they finally get possession, and the puck is then turned over to Mike Matheson, who makes a nice spin move, turns around, sends a cross-ice pass, stopped, and Marino takes the puck, looks cross-ice, finds Brian Rust, it looked like, in an opportunity, but saved, made there by Carter Hart, and then Crosby gets a shot, and Hart is able to block that away. Crosby, listen, we asked if there's going to be a scuffle tonight, and Crosby's he's been talking a lot. I don't know if Crosby's going to actually fight, but hostilities are easily started in this game. That is for sure, between the Penguins and the Flyers. So I wouldn't be surprised in the least if we see a fight, especially if this game gets a little bit closer. So we'll have to see. Jacob saying you got hacked. I get it, man. I did, even if you didn't, I wouldn't take it hard. I'm not holding it against you, man. That's all right. I've been called much worse, trust me, than annoying. Much, much worse. On the hockey rink, on the football field, at the Thanksgiving dinner table sometimes. I don't even know. So Penguins now still 4-on-4 for about 25 more seconds. There's a lot of, if you're the Philadelphia Flyers right now, that might be why it's getting a little chippy. The Flyers have a lot of replacement level players in there, a lot of young guys trying to make a mark. What's one way to get attention? You go in there, you play scrappy, you try to draw a penalty for your team. That's what they're doing right now. They're playing hard. They're trying to show that they belong in the NHL while all these players are out, trying to make a mark, get a spot, get noticed. So that's where the Flyers are at right now, and they're still down 3-1, but there's a good chance. 3-1 is the worst lead in all of hockey. Take it right out of the announcer's handbook. $15:56 remaining here in the third period of play. 3-1 is the score. Trying to think of a good question for the comment section here. And when I look at this game and the way that it's playing out, I do want to ask, by the way, the 2 penalties to Lawton and Gensel are over, so we are back to 5-on-5 here. Pittsburgh Penguins have the puck in the zone. Their fourth line is out on the ice right now of Bluger, McGinn, and Zach Aston Reese. After having a career year when it comes to goal scoring last year, Zach Aston Reese has struggled, to say the least, to find the back of the net. There's a nice pass and opportunity for Farabee. He does not miss or whiff. I should say that's not Farabee. That's why he didn't whiff. 89 is Atkinson. What is Farabee? 86? Yeah, that's what it is. So looking right now, the Pittsburgh Penguins are sitting in the top wild card spot. I'll ask this. Does anybody in the comments, it seems like we're more Penguins fans than we are Flyers fans in the comments today. I don't know if that's correct or not. I know we have, obviously, Donnell's New York, Jacob loves THPN. I don't know if the fake account is a Vegas fan, but the real account is a Vegas fan. So we'll see where do we think the Pittsburgh Penguins, and by we, I mean anybody in the comments, where do you think they're going to end? I said second or third earlier when I was asked if I think the Penguins are going to win the division. I don't think they will. Where does everybody else think they're going to finish? We are getting close to the halfway point of the NHL season. The Penguins have yet to be fully healthy. And then, beyond that, let me know, do you think the Philadelphia Flyers are going to be able to make a push for a playoff spot this year? Or do you think that all hope should be lost in Philadelphia and they should just sell the farm and trade Giroux and trade a guy like Ivan Provorov? So let me know what you think in the comments. Phantoms 36, you're a Flyers fan. I see that one I could have known. That one I could have pictured. So what do you think? Should the Flyers start a full-on rebuild after this year? And is Chuck Fletcher, the current general manager, a part of that rebuild, or is he on the hot seat? We'll see. Ron says he thinks third or fourth. Robert says first. Do you think the Penguins are going to win the Metropolitan Division? Hey, you never know. I mean, I didn't expect them. Like I said, I didn't expect them to win the East last year. So if they win the Metro, I'd be surprised, but I know there's a lot of people that wouldn't be. So Phantoms 36 says, yeah, they should do a full-on rebuild. And I mean, they tried. I think this was a last-ditch effort when you saw the amount of moves made by Fletcher this offseason to try to just bring in some players to help this core. But it really seems like, I mean, they do have a lot of young talent, but like giving up on Goss Despair, finally giving up on Nolan Patrick, it seems like they're primed, and here's going to be a great opportunity. But a whiff by Derek Brassard. He had a great chance to find Kevin Hayes, who was open right in the slot, but a whiff on the pass attempt. And that is another opportunity that is just going to go awry without even a shot on goal for the Philadelphia Flyers. That could have really been a great opportunity that they didn't even get a shot on goal. And that's, that's the issue with this team in the Philadelphia Flyers. They just haven't been able to take advantage of great opportunities like that. My guy Dayton Heinen's out there. He's going to try to make me look smart, get a goal in this period. Evan Rodriguez takes the puck, goes over to John Marino, who's going to take the puck behind the net, hold on to it, looking for somebody, finding nobody, still just dancing around the zone with the puck, and then he gives it over to Dayton Heinen, who takes it. He's shifting low, gets down to Kasperi Kapanen, somebody who is sorely missing Evgeny Malkin this season, and that shot is taken by Marino, blocked out of play, and the whistle sounds. 12:56 remaining in the third period. 3-1 still to score. The Pittsburgh Penguins got 3 quick goals early in the first period, and since then have not been able to solve Carter Hart. Danelle asking, did I answer your question? I don't know which question it is, so jot that one back down in the comments, and I will answer it. Jacob says he thinks the Penguins are going to finish in 4th. They're there right now, so he thinks they're going to hold pat at 4th place. The Phantoms say they should get a shooter. So you want to add a shooter. I don't know if you want to add an old shooter, but I'm sure Phil Kessel is going to be on the trade block. He's a guy that Arizona is a team that is out here selling the farm. So Phil Kessel is probably somebody that is on the trade block. I mean, if Jacob Chikrin is, so is Phil Kessel. So maybe that's a possible option, but I don't know if you want to go that old with a shooter there. But if you're trying to rebuild, I would definitely not bring in a guy like Phil Kessel. Cashew says probably 2nd or 3rd. That's where they were finishing in a lot of those Stanley Cup years. So maybe that's where they want to finish. But at the same time, you probably would like, if you're a Penguins fan, you want to see them finish in 1st for the simple fact of playing and matchups. You don't want to play a New York Rangers or even a Washington Capitals first round series. That's going to be a tough physical series that even if you do win, even if you do dominate, any of those series between the Rangers, between the Capitals, not necessarily the Carolina Hurricanes. I think they're just a really good team, not really as physical. But if you play the Capitals in the first round, it's going to be hard to keep your wits about you going the whole way through and attempting to go the whole way through there. Let's see. The Philly whiffers. Yeah, they've whiffed on a lot of opportunities, especially. And what are we seeing here? Puck giveaway? Yeah, that's very nice. I don't know what the story is. See, this is when I wish I could actually hear it. I should probably get like an AirPod and put it in my ear so I can actually hear what's actually happening on the ice there. Rubich says HBK will forever be the best line in hockey. The best nickname, I think, in hockey, and I think the best run to see, it's hilarious that Shawn Michaels showed up and they didn't do anything. It's really bad. But no. Let's see. Ron says, crazy to think they drafted Nolan Patrick and could have gotten Heiskanen, Makar, and Pedersen. Yeah, that's a bad beat right there. That is a really, really bad beat. But even if you look at the first round overall pick in that draft is Nico Hischier, and I get that he's the captain for the New Jersey Devils. And if Neil is in this stream, Neil's probably going to get mad that I'm even talking about it. But, the injury issues and the sickness issues that Nico Hischier has had, plus the fact that he's a good talent. And I'm sure he's a great leader for the New Jersey Devils, but he's not at the level, especially, everybody saw Cale Makar's goal earlier this week, the overtime goal he had against the Chicago Blackhawks. He embarrassed Kirby Dach. He embarrassed Marc-Andre Fleury, and he went forehand, backhand, top shelf with no room whatsoever. I mean, he is a generational talent on the blue line. He's a great defenseman, and he's probably going to be a guy that's going to finish top 3 in Norris voting for the next conceivably 5-10 years, as long as Victor Hedman and Adam Fox and Roman Josi and John Carlson don't just play above and beyond better than him. We all know Hedman's going to always be there, though. Phantom36 asks, what do I think the Flyers should do to make the team better? I mean, at this point, with where your team is at, and with the way that they've played in the past half decade and what the moves they have made have done, they really need to do a full-on rebuild. I mean, you need to draft better, because we already talked about the Nolan Patrick draft. You have the second overall pick, and it's easy to go back in hindsight and be like, oh, I mean, you could have drafted Heiskanen, you could have drafted Makar, you could have drafted Pettersson, but Nolan Patrick was thought to be that dude, and he did go through some bad luck spells in Philly, so it's not all his fault. It's not all Philly's fault, but at the same time, you have all these young players, you have a couple of nice young pieces. If you're going to do a rebuild, you need to do it the correct way. And here's an opportunity for Evan Rodriguez. Backhand, forehand, absolutely dirty. Beats Carter Hart, and stay hot, young fella. Evan Rodriguez makes it 4-1. And to answer Ron's question from the beginning of the third period, yes, I'm comfortable with my Penguins -1.5 bet. I think I'm going to be making some money here in 11 minutes and some change of hockey time. But back to the Philadelphia Flyers. They need to do a rebuild, and they need to do it right. I mean, that is a dirty goal by Evan Rodriguez, just sickening. But no, what they definitely need to do is they need to do it smartly. You're going to trade Claude Giroux. That's going to be a tough day for the organization. They're going to trade Ivan Provorov. That's going to be a tough day for the organization. They should also look into trading a guy like Sean Couturier, because they're going to get, I mean, if they can, I don't even know what the no trade clauses situation is there, but you really need to break it down the whole way. You can't half-ass it anymore. Like, you have to commit to the rebuild, because if you don't, you're going to be a middling team, and it's going to continue. You saw what the New York Rangers did. They broke it down entirely, almost entirely. I mean, they still have Chris Kreider, but, trading Zuccarello, trading Callahan, McDonough, all that stuff, it was really just the fact that they actually broke it down. Now, they got very lucky getting Lafreniere and Kakko early, but if you're the Flyers, you need to break it down and build this team around guys like Morgan Frost. Even if you build the team around Carter Hart, that's a good place to start. I think Carter Hart has had a good season. There's not much he could do on that goal. Evan Rodriguez just had too much time and too much skill and absolutely undressed him, but you need to find help for Carter Hart. You can build out from the goaltending position, but you need to actually commit to a rebuild, and that's the way you're going to get better. Jacob Loves THPN says he said 5-2. Hey, I'd be fine with 5-2. That still gets me to hit that Penguins -1.5. Hikaru K says EGOD does it again. Absolutely fantastic. Front Row Production says ugh. Johnny Peel says nice goal by Erod. The opinion of the comment section agrees with me. That is a fantastic goal. A nice opportunity there off the faceoff, coming in quick for the Philadelphia Flyers, looking to kind of respond here quickly, but they don't get the opportunity on, and now there's under 10 minutes to play for the Flyers to make up a 3-goal deficit on the Pittsburgh Penguins, and this might be a great opportunity here, possible 2-on-1. Here comes Farabee. He gets a nice pass across, and that shot is off of, I believe, either the post or saved by Tristan Jarry. And now on the other way, Jake Guentzel comes in, chip shot, scores, and it's 5-1 in favor of the Pittsburgh Penguins. It seems like what we said, Mike Sullivan got after his team in the intermission break, and they're back out here scoring goals with their foot back on the pedal. It is now 5-1, and I think I don't have a alarm, I don't have a bell, but I think it's officially laugher alert. I mean, the Flyers, they kept it interesting for a while there, but great goal by Evan Rodriguez, and now a beautiful chip shot goal by Jake Guentzel. The Pittsburgh Penguins are just they're too good for a team in the Philadelphia Flyers that is missing just too many players. There's still 9.5 minutes to play. Anything can happen, but it is a 5-1 game, and Casey DeSmith is not in net for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Ron says, speaking of Adam Fox, crazy to think he was drafted by Calgary and has been traded twice. Yeah, I mean, part of that, if you're a Pittsburgh Penguins fan, you saw the same exact thing with John Marino. He was drafted by the Edmonton Oilers. I'm sure they would love to have a defenseman the caliber of John Marino on their team right now, as the Penguins are about to head to the penalty kill after a cross-checking penalty called on Marcus Pettersson. But yeah, no, it's a matter of he was drafted by Calgary. He didn't want to sign in Calgary. I don't think he wanted to play in Canada. And then he goes to, I believe it was Carolina next, and then gets traded again. So it's crazy to think that it's not that they didn't see his potential. He didn't want to be in the first place he was, but Yeah, it's amazing when players get traded around like that and then pan out as much as they do. He won the Norris Trophy last year, and he won it as a really young player. You don't see that very often. Usually you see it as like almost a lifetime achievement award for a defenseman. We saw Giordano win it at the age of 36. We saw Roman Yossi win it after so many years in the league. Very few players start to get into the conversation and start to win from a very young age. It's similar with the Selke Trophy. Couturier had to fight for a long time to get in it. Bergeron, basically, once he got to a certain point, he's like guaranteed. It's like in a contract that Bergeron has to be a finalist for the Selke Award winner. So Penguins right now leading 5-1. Not much time left in this game. Just under 10 minutes remaining as they're currently on commercial break on ESPN Plus. But yep, Cashew says the Penguins are posting clips of the game on Twitter. They usually do. It's always a great source. If I can't watch the game, I'm always following along on Twitter for sure. Dash Selke says, "Go Flyers." I mean, it's a rough night for Flyers fans. It's been a rough night, but you can always fall back on your laurels of you have basically none of your star players in. You have Cam Atkinson, and guess what? He scored you a goal. There's a lot to be done in Philadelphia. And I mean, the second one is also find a coach. I don't think Mike Yeo is the coach of the future there. So what is the over-under? I don't know what it was before the game. The current over-under on DraftKings is probably ridiculously high, but it's probably 7. But I think coming into this game, it probably would have been at 5.5 or 6, where, it's either right now, either a push or a win, depending on where it started. But right now, the over-under is set at 7. You see, paying attention to sports books and having a job in sports betting pays off. I can actually do some of that stuff. Selke says, our season is done. You're in 5th place. You might be able to fight back, but I think it would probably just be better off seeing the players you have on there. You might be better off just selling the farm and breaking it down this season and starting a rebuild, to be completely honest. And I do agree. They played decent tonight. They kept this interesting up until this point where these last 2 goals by Evan Rodriguez and Jake Gensel were scored. They kept it interesting. They stayed in the game. That goal in the second period was good. They won the second period, not just by the fact that they won 1-0, but the momentum, the style of play. They held possession of the puck. They had a really good second period. They beat the Pittsburgh Penguins in the second period. But it's just, again, the dichotomy of the skill between these two teams. It was evident from the start when the Penguins got out to a 3-0 lead. And now it's evident right here in the third period as they extend their lead from 3-1 to 5-1. So if they want any hope in this game, they're going to have to score and score quickly here on this power play, though. They've already not done anything for a minute. And if the Penguins hurry, they have a 3-on-2 opportunity. Brian Boyle, not going to hurry. He's going to send in a shot and he's going to score. Yeah, no, there is no chance. And if you took that over under of 7, I mean, you have the push now. You just need an extra goal here, but it's a 6-1 game here in favor of the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's looking like they're going to win their 10th straight game. They haven't lost a game since December 1st or 2nd, one of the two. This winning streak started on my birthday back on December 4th. So it has been a long time since the Pittsburgh Penguins have lost a game, and that streak is going to continue tonight. And it's going to continue pretty much the whole way until at least Saturday when they play the Dallas Stars. Brian Boyle, first goal scored with his son, Callum James Boyle. That happened, I mentioned earlier in the stream. He walked in 10 minutes before his kid was born, which is an absolutely, you think of people sometimes sit there for hours. He walked in and 10 minutes later, his kid was there. That's an absolutely crazy story. Adding to the Boyle lineage, because obviously earlier in the season, there was the story of he got a Penguins jersey for his kid. His kid opened it up. It was a Boyle 11 jersey, and his kid looked at him and said, "Why would I want this? It's not a Sidney Crosby jersey." Hilarious that his kid really threw him into the ground like that. Hockey Lords, when you posted this, the over-under was 7, which would get a push right now as we stand here. I would imagine that if you checked DraftKings, who is the sponsor of this show, make sure you use promo code THBN when you're signing up for great odds and opportunities. I would imagine the over-under would have gone up. But I got the Penguins minus 1.5. And, looks like I'm going to be making some money tonight. Selke says, boo. Yeah, it's a rough night. It's a rough night. But, you have some players. Cam York, Morgan Frost. I'd be excited about those guys. And I also, I know he's gotten pummeled and he's gotten pelted and he's given up 6 goals tonight. But Carter Hart is having a lot better of a season this year. I mean, that has to be a lot more encouraging. It doesn't help that he hasn't really gotten much help from his guys. But I mean, look at tonight. There's an opportunity, a shot, and a goal. And if you had the over of 7, there it is. More and more goals. This time, Oscar Lindblom in Philadelphia. Do they have a chance? They're down by 4 with 7 minutes to go. They're going to have to hurry. And we'll look down through. Wow, I am far behind. Hayes went to the locker room for the Flyers. What goes bad to worse. I mean, it's nice that they scored a goal here, but if they lose Kevin Hayes for any period of time, it is just almost insurmountable odds, really. Phantom says, rip the Flyers every season they have a good start. They lose it in the middle of the season. I don't know if they necessarily had a good start this season. I don't remember them having a good start, but I might be off. You try to follow the whole league, and most of the time I pay more attention to the Pacific or the Central one. I'm trying to watch other games outside of Pittsburgh, and just because those are teams that I don't usually get to see, so I usually watch those ones. But yeah, I haven't watched too much Philadelphia Flyers hockey this year, for good reason, honestly. So 6.5 minutes remain here in the third period to play a 6-2 game in favor of the Pittsburgh Penguins. I didn't think about it again until just now, and I know I said it the last time I was on the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel. But, nice pass there. Crosby not able to finish it off. That was a beautiful play by Brian Rust, looking to get an apple here in a game that he already has 2 goals. A nice pass there by Crosby over to Letang, and a bad turnover, but Farabee not able to take advantage of it. A good job by Dumoulin to recover for his D partner. Made a career out of recovering for Chris Letang there. So, no, I lost my train of thought. Every time I do one of these Hockey Podcast Network watch-alongs, the Pittsburgh Penguins win. So, I believe they are now 5-0 when I do this. So, there might be something to it. And it's not the games that I've selected, because the first one I did was Penguins-Panthers when the Panthers were unbelievably good. So I don't know what it is, but every time I do a watch-along, the Penguins seem to win. So Ron says, for disliking the Flyers, he does like Frost and Lindblom. It's really hard to not like Oscar Lindblom. I mean, the story alone, and then the fact that he is a very talented player. James Van Riemsdyk is not happy. I mean, it's not a good time to be a Philadelphia Flyer right now. But, for the story alone, I would be pressed to find anybody that genuinely dislikes Oscar Lindblom. Really, I don't think anybody really dislikes him. But Morgan Frost is a guy that, get excited if you're Philadelphia fans, because I think Morgan Frost is going to be a really good player for a really long time. I think he just needs to fill out a little bit more in body and in just his game. He needs to round it out just a little bit more and find, some consistency. He's still very, very young. So it's nice that he's getting these reps, though, even though this team is just, it's hard to get anything going when you're playing with so many different players. Rubich says Letang has had a lot of turnovers. The past 2 games, I don't know what it is, but, on Wednesday night against the St. Louis Blues and tonight against the Philadelphia Flyers, he's had a really good season where he's avoided all those bad turnovers. But the last 2 days, I don't know if it's because he's trying to produce more offensively. I don't know if it's because, tonight, because he feels like he can take those chances with the lead that the Penguins have. But he's been turning the puck over a little bit more. You hope to see, especially as you're going up against teams later in this road trip, the season-long 6-game road trip for the Pittsburgh Penguins. You would hope to see that he settles it down against teams like Dallas, teams like LA, teams like Anaheim, who play a little bit more of a concise, shortened, tougher style of play, for sure. Jacob loves THBN says Oscar Lindblom is a bum, an absolute bum. Okay, well, I would be hard-pressed to find, except for Jacob. I don't know if that is the fake Jacob or the real Jacob. Yeah, that's the fake Jacob. So I don't know. I'm interested. I love how it's also the exact same thing. So we'll see how that goes. But right now, the final commercial break of this game, it might end mercifully here in just about 4 minutes. Let's look at the stats right now going into the final 5. Penguins lead 6-2. Shots on goal right now, 31-19. So the Flyers aren't even really testing Tristan Jarry all that much tonight. His save percentage is going to look at like 900 if he makes one more save. So not really going to help his stats tonight, but the win he'll probably take, the 2 goals he'll probably take. and he's going to try to shut it down here in the last 4 minutes of play. Block shots, 13-12 in favor of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Penalties, 5-4 in favor of the Penguins. You expected, 16 penalty minutes, 10 penalty minutes. You expect a good bit of penalties, and in this game, we've gotten it for sure. Penalty killing percentage, power play percentage. Flyers are 0 for 5 on the power play tonight. Penguins do have the top penalty kill in the National Hockey League, and the Flyers are missing most of their power play guys, so you kind of expected that, but still, you get 5 opportunities. You got to hit at least one. Usually, you're not going to win a game if you go 0 for 5 on the man advantage. The Penguins, on the other hand, they go 1 for 4. Not awful. Let's see what's going on. Oh, the Stars are wearing those highlighter green uniforms. I don't hate them. I would never buy one. And just like that, the Florida Panthers up 1-0, and then Klingberg ties it. Okay, 1-1 in that game. That's a good game. I don't know what to make of the Dallas Stars this year. I guess the Pittsburgh Penguins will see them on Saturday. So if you watch that game, that's a nice little foreshadowing of what you're going to see. Back to the stats here. Giveaways. Penguins 5 to the Flyers 3 takeaways. Penguins 12 takeaways tonight to the Flyers 4. So a good night for the Pittsburgh Penguins when it comes to neutral zone play, getting a couple turnovers there. But as of right now, this game is pretty much out of reach. If you score 4 goals in 4 minutes with the players that the Flyers have, it would take an epic meltdown in the Pittsburgh Penguins' part. And I don't see that happening from what I've seen the previous 56 minutes of play that we've seen already. Sir says it's a great day for Penguins hockey. It's been a couple of great days for Penguins hockey. It's been a great month for Penguins hockey, for sure. Rumich asks, so I watched the Pat McAfee show. I listened to it. I listen to it when I'm in the car. I try to listen. I usually listen pretty much all week long. Too many passes trying to get Brian Rust the hat trick there. Nice pass out to Letang, and he gets a whiff of his own. Brian Rust, some nice forechecking there. Russ has 2 goals and an apple today. Probably going to be the first star of the game. At least I'm going to give him the first star of the game. You know what? I'm not even going to leave suspense. I do watch the Pat McAfee show. I will finish that answer before I keep talking here. I'm going to, end the suspense. He's going to be my first star of the week this week for the Hockey Hotbed. That episode comes out tomorrow. Again, Neil Villapiano and Shane Ryan join me to talk all things NHL and World Juniors and drafts coming up. But I do 3 stars of the week at the end. Brian Rust is my first star of the week. There's no way anybody has a better stat line than him in 3 games. He has 11 or 12 points in 3 games, 7 goals. Yeah, there's nobody better than him. Hikaru K says highlighter green is still better than mood. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's better than the Mooderist. Rumich says, what do I think of the AB situation? Listen, I talked about that on today's episode of the Tip of the Iceberg. He was my call out. We do shout outs and call outs every week. He was my call out because of the way he handled that. But realistically, my end all be all of that situation is the fact that he needs help. Don't let him play another down of football because he needs help. There's something psychologically wrong with him. So, Graham Ferry, thanks for joining. Who do I think will win? Well, with 2 minutes left in the 6-2 game, I think I'm going to go with the Penguins. Tentatively going to go with the Penguins. Phantom36, good night and keep up the good stream. Thank you very much for saying that. Good night. I hope you enjoyed the stream. We will be back with more streams every single night. Every NHL game. Not every NHL game, but every night that there is an NHL game, we have a THPN stream as well. Yeah, I would say the Penguins. Go back to that. What's going on? I don't know who's in that picture. 91 made me think of Tarasenko, but what's going on? Thank you for joining the stream. Just about 2 minutes left of regulation here. Penguins versus the Flyers. The Penguins have owned this game for large portions of it, but I will give the Flyers credit. In that second period, they put together a really good performance. They were able to slow down the Pittsburgh Penguins. There might be a factor of the Penguins letting their foot off the gas a little bit with a 3-0 lead, but the Flyers, you still got to take advantage when something like that happens, and they were able to. They got a goal to make it 3-1, bring it within a 2-goal deficit, but you could just tell that the roster strength tonight is just in favor of the Pittsburgh Penguins massively, and that's the story of this game. Tristan Jarry quietly had a pretty good game. Here was this great opportunity and a beautiful save by Tristan Jarry. So in his first full game since coming off of the COVID list, he's looking pretty solid. And it's going to be a good start for the Pittsburgh Penguins on a season-long 6-game road trip. They started out with a W. So is it Cole Perfetti? Oh, I love that. Cole Perfetti, line mate of, for any Penguins fans in this chat, Cole Perfetti is a former line mate of Nathan Legare and Sam Poulin down at Val d'Or last year in the QMJHL. So Rumich, still talking about the AB situation. Like I said, somebody get him help, because it is a serious issue at this point. Whether or not he's telling the truth about his ankle injury, he needs help, and he should not be put back in the NFL, put back in a situation where he gets more head injuries. Alex Giga, thank you for joining the stream, says nice commentators for stream. Respected. Oh, thank you. I don't know if you're talking about the Hockey Podcast Network, but we do. I concur if that's what you're saying right there. You're a Jets fan with the Cole Perfetti. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense now. Jets going up 1-0. I don't know if you know this, but the Jets are my dark horse pick to make the Stanley Cup Finals. It's what I picked early before the season started. I'm sticking with them. That's my dark horse right there. Do not check on the Lightning game. Well, tonight was Nikita Kucherov's first game back, so I would not be surprised if the Tampa Bay Lightning are absolutely demolishing whoever they're playing. I don't even know who they're playing tonight. Karu asks, we're in the last 30 seconds of the game here. Karu asks, speaking of Poulin, it seems like his stock has dropped a lot. Yeah, I mean, I think that he might be a victim of the fact that he was like the only high draft pick for like 6 years. So at that point, you have a lot of expectations. And at the same time, you saw, him missing out on World Juniors last year, didn't get into that team, and just realistically hasn't had a good season in Wilkes-Barre, but there's still time. He's still very young. So we'll have to see how he progresses. And that's just the thing. We'll have to see what goes on there. Flyers, last-ditch effort. They hit a post, but that's going to do it. That is a final from Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The Keystone rivalry, the Battle of Pennsylvania. Round number 2 of the 2021-22 season goes to the Pittsburgh Penguins by a score of 6-2. The Penguins now have won 10 straight games. The Flyers, they really didn't have much of a chance coming into this game. I think their effort in the second period was commendable. But if you look at the overall end of this game, I mean, the Pittsburgh Penguins just had way too much talent compared to the Flyers in this matchup right now, because, losing guys like Couturier, like I said, they lost their 4 best players in the last 2 days. So it was a tough go of things for the Philadelphia Flyers. Some people didn't even think they should be playing tonight. They did. The game is over. It's played. They lose 6-2, and they don't get anything out of this game. So double checking in here. No hat trick for Rust. I know Vaughn wanted that. No, look at that. He said right there, no hat trick for Rust, but Penguins do get the win, 6-2, like 10 straight wins, the longest win streak in the NHL this season, and the 5th longest win streak, tied for the 5th longest win streak in Pittsburgh Penguins history. Andrew joins the stream. Says hi to Jacob, says hi to me as well. Andrew, hope you're having a great day. Hope you're having a great new year. It's been a while since I've checked in. Hope everything's going well with you. Vaughn, 10 in a row there. Cashew says, good game. Love it. Jacob says, Vegas is better than the Jets. Objectively, yes. But as I've said several times, 3 of the past 4 years, the Winnipeg Jets were eliminated by a team that went to the Stanley Cup Finals. I think they have a really good team. They need to put it together. Part of that was Paul Maurice, I guess, thinking that they'd be better off without him. They need to put it together, but they're still a really good team. Vaughn says Penn's road record is impressive. I believe they are now either 9-3-3 or 10-3-3. So, yeah, they're playing really well away from Pittsburgh, and that's going to be put to the test here, because after this now the Penguins go to Dallas, they hit their California road trip, and then they play Vegas. Maybe I'll have to do that Monday night game. Jacob, Vegas versus the Pittsburgh Penguins. That's 10 p.m. my time. That'd be interesting. But maybe I'll stay up late and I'll do one of those. Hikaru says, always appreciate a last 10 of 10-0-0. Yeah, that's going to look pretty nice there for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Looking down here, Rumich says Vegas overrated. Oh, look at that. Jumping in at the last second. That would be my mother. Thanks for sending the snow our way. Hey, it's supposed to snow tonight here too. Okay. Now I'm sure we're not going to get as much as Johnstown because nobody ever gets as much snow as Johnstown, but thank you for supporting me, Mom. I appreciate that. Rumich, thank you for joining the stream. You do late night workouts. I like early morning workouts. So I'll be doing that bright and early tomorrow morning after I work tonight. But let's see. Anything else down here? Alex says, thank you. See you later. Thank you for joining, Alex. Aunt Debbie says, great job tonight. Thank you. Penguins win 10 straight. Let's see. What else do we have? Got a nice debate here about the Vegas Golden Knights and the Winnipeg Jets. I love that. But no, looking at this game, let's do some takeaways. Let's do 3 stars, and then we'll get out of here for tonight. Thank you to everybody that has joined and has been joined all night at the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel. I don't know if we got to our goal of 800 subscribers. I hope we added a couple, but we certainly had a lot of fun tonight, and I appreciate everybody in the comments. It's been a great night, and I appreciate everybody here. If you liked this, make sure you drop a like. If you really, really like this, make sure you subscribe because we have streams like this every single night. So a final tally of 6-2. Let me bring up the score updates here. But the Pittsburgh Penguins, again, it just seemed from the get-go, you could tell that they had the much better team. They had the team that wasn't decimated by COVID and wasn't decimated by injuries. My fingers aren't working well enough to bring this score sheet up here. But Pittsburgh Penguins and the Philadelphia Flyers. So in the first period, Brian Rust led off the scoring. He's had a fantastic week. 3 games, I believe like 12 points, 7 goals. So he's having a great week since coming back from a lower body injury. He scores his 8th goal of the season on the power play assist to Crosby and Letang. Second goal, just a couple minutes after that, Brian Rust once again scores a goal assist, this time to Evan Rodriguez and Chris Letang. That was on a 4-on-4. Jake Gensel scores hit the 3rd goal for the Pittsburgh Penguins in the first period, 16 minutes in. 17th of the season assist from Dumoulin Letang. That's the goal that was a beautiful save made by Carter Hart, but the glove just went over the goal line, which gave the Penguins the 3-0 lead. Only goal in the second period was by Cam Atkinson of the Philadelphia Flyers, a 2-on-1. He was able to beat Tristan Jarry blocker side, and all of a sudden it was a 3-1 game. The Penguins were a little bit out of it. The Flyers were getting a little bit more momentum, but then into the third period, couple breakaway goals, one by Evan Rodriguez and another by Jake Gensel, where they completely both undressed Carter Hart, and they're showing the replay of the Evan Rodriguez goal there. And then Brian Boyle on a shorthanded goal was able to score one in the first week of his new kid being born. Nice goal for Brian Boyle. And then Oscar Lindblom, 13 minutes into the third period. He made it 6-2, but not nearly enough to bring the Flyers back with that decimated roster. I thought they had some good fight at points in this game, but for the most part, you could see they were just clearly outclassed and outskilled by the Pittsburgh Penguins. A great game for Pittsburgh, and they extend their win streak to 10. Think about it. They were 10-8-5. Now they're 20-8-5 on a beautiful 10-game win streak. If you're a Pittsburgh Penguins fan, the Flyers, they dropped to 13-15-6. Not a great year for the Pittsburgh Penguins. I mentioned this is now tied for their 5th longest win streak. The next mark they need to catch up to is 12, which will tie their 2010-11 team and their 2011-12 team. And of course, you have the 92-93 team, and then the amazing that had 17, and then the amazing 2012-13 Jerome Iginla Pittsburgh Penguins, who went on fire in March and they won 15 straight. So that's what the Penguins are trying to accomplish. But looking at my 3 stars of the game, I think my 3rd star is going to go to Evan Rodriguez. He continued the confidence, a beautiful goal, added on an assist, is a guy that has been really instrumental for the Pittsburgh Penguins all season long, and he continues that tonight, had a great game, and it doesn't seem like he's slowing down. So my 3rd star of the game goes to Evan Rodriguez. My 2nd star of the game, I would like to give it to Freddie Gaudreau, because we got to pull up that Freddie Gaudreau picture in the second period and compare him to the guy from Goon, who, my brain is starting to forget things because we're 3 hours into a stream now. But no, my 2nd star of the game is going to go to Tristan Jarry, because although he didn't face a lot of shots, I mean, you look at the final shot tally for the Philadelphia Flyers, only 20 shots, which means Tristan Jarry's save percentage, only 900 today. Some of the saves he made were instrumental. They were big. And in that second period, when the Pittsburgh Penguins, didn't have their foot on the gas. Tristan Jarry had a really good period and was able to keep the Flyers to only scoring 1 goal and allow the Penguins to get their feet back underneath them and score 3 more goals in the game. And of course, the number one star, who is also my number one star of the week. If you tune into the Hockey Hotbed tomorrow, you'll hear the same thing. My number one star is going to be Bryan Rust. 2 goals and an assist. The guy has scored 12 points in the past 3 games, including 7 goals. He's on fire. It's a contract year. He's going to make a lot of money. He only makes 3.5 right now. Probably one of the best bargain deals in the National Hockey League. He's going to hopefully, he's trying to get to a 30-goal season for the first time in his career. But realistically, the guy is going to make a buttload of money once he hits the free agent market. I know the Penguins are currently trying to get a deal done with him, but if you're Bryan Rust, why not wait, especially now with the way that you're doing right now? Let's see. Jump into the comment section one last time before we say goodbye for tonight. Ron says, awesome listening and hearing all the hockey insight. Ron, thank you for joining for the whole one. I sent you the link expecting you to maybe tune in, give a like for like 5 minutes. Stayed here for the whole thing, was writing me 5-paragraph essays in the comment section. I love it. I absolutely love it right now. Brian Boyle did score a shorthanded goal. Beautiful shot. So let's see. Who else is saying that? Hikaru would have given one to Gensel. Gensel did have a good game, scored 2 goals. But, either way, it's a great night for the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's a bad night for the Philadelphia Flyers. I mentioned it when I talked about the Flyers, basically the entire third period. They need to break it down and rebuild. That's the gist of it. But thank you again to everybody that joined the stream. It has been a great time. My first stream of 2022. I appreciate everybody that joined the stream. I appreciate everybody that liked it. Anybody that subscribed. If you liked this, make sure you subscribe because we have new streams like this every single night of the NHL season. We're going to have some Olympic streams coming up as well once the Olympics get underway. Might see a little bit of David Warsofsky. We'll have to see. But that is going to do it for this one. You can follow me on Twitter at Nick_Berlansky or at Iceberg Podcast or at Hockey Hotbed because I do 2 podcasts here for the Hockey Podcast Network. If you like my Penguins insight, you can follow me at the Tip of the Iceberg Podcast. Or if you like my insight just altogether, I do a podcast on all 32 teams in the National Hockey League called the Hockey Hotbed. You can check that out wherever you get your podcasts from. But for the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel and for our show sponsor, DraftKings, I'm going to say goodnight. Thank you one more time, and we'll see you guys next time here on the YouTube channel. Later, guys.